And welcome in, everybody, to the post-moist New Hampshire podcast. Yes, it's very moist.
Right in my ear. 5 seconds into the show, Jarrett, you got to drop a moist on me.
Moist.
Well, I don't know what's more moist, the track in New Hampshire or those Aggie tears from this weekend.
I feel like I've led us down a bad path of moist jokes that could go very, very wrong. But welcome on in, everybody, to NWP. First off, letting you know now, like goal. Boom, 500. So get it on up there. And then, let's just jump on into it. This weekend at New Hampshire was, I guess, historic, aggravating, awesome, every adjective in the book. Danny, let's tackle the moist elephant in the room, the wet weather racing, I guess.
Yeah, oddly enough, it's coming a big thunderstorm here in Tennessee right now while we're talking about all this.
That's right.
But no, I caught some flack on Twitter because they misconstrued what I was saying for a second. I was not opposed to them racing on the wet weather tires. It's more the fact that they waited so long to decide what they were going to do. They should have already put them on before the storm ever got there. And then when they finally said, okay, we're going to ride it out, we'll finish it, people were wrecking under caution. I was like, they should have ended this already just because of the fact they were looking ridiculous there before they got back going.
Kyle Busch wrecking under caution and LaJoy spinning. I mean, that...
Dude, Kyle Busch is just begging to be fired at this point.
He wants to be... I think he's hoping that RCR will not pick up his option for next year. They'll say, that Jesse Love kid's got more potential than Kyle Busch, and he'll be free to sign elsewhere. But at this point, well, not to spoil the second half of the show, there's not many places left for Kyle Busch to sign now that silly season dominoes are starting to fall. But as far as the rain tires, I guess we can start with that since it's raining where you guys are at, and that was the hot topic of conversation on Sunday. It sure looked like NASCAR didn't know what they were doing at first. Like, we could have gotten an extra maybe 10 or 15 laps in before the real rain hit the track. Instead, they waited. It's not really raining, waited. But it turns out they knew what they were doing. They knew when the rain would get out. They knew how much daylight they had. And they knew that they didn't have to spend much time drying the track. They dried the track. They did like one pass. Like, it was like a 30-minute airtight and drying session. And they were like, that's good enough. Let's put the wets on, let them out there, let them finish this thing. The final 81, 82 laps were run under wet weather conditions. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Almost a third of this race, an oval race, were run with wet tires, which was very much an unknown. Created a lot of interesting moments, passing opportunities. But one thing really didn't change from the first half to the second half of this race, and that was Christopher Bell was arguably the fastest car throughout. He wins again. What about you, Jarrett?
Well, I'll say I think in the future, that's just the communication. Because I had said in our chat where I'm like, the broadcast, it just sounded like it was just a PR run with NBC. Like, we can't race it because it'd be too fast. It's like, wait, what? And then it's like, well, we can't race it because it's not the start.
The problem is the broadcast and Fox and NBC have both done this in the last couple of years. They spend so much time talking about the wet weather tires. They show the wet weather tires, and they always say, don't worry, don't tune out, don't change the channel, don't worry. And then, when we don't use them immediately, fans are questioning, like, well, wait, TV's been hyping these up for half an hour. Why are they sitting off to the side? It's just the messaging is convoluted because I think NASCAR has been consistent. They're like, if it's actively raining and we don't have wipers, we're not going to race. Doesn't matter if it's a light rain, we're not going to race. Don't matter if we have the tires, we're not going to race. But TV, meanwhile, is showing these stacks of wet weather tires and showing drivers wandering around with no umbrellas. And it's like the messaging is convoluted. But on NASCAR side, I think they have been consistent. It's just getting that consistency across all mouthpieces of the industry, us included, the media included. And I don't know, that's where I think frustration set in. But we got the race in ultimately. Yeah. Ultimately worked out. We got the full race in.
I want to bring up a point too. I think it was like 55 laps were completed in the time between when NASCAR would have started and when they did start. So, like, even with that, we hit halfway and got a good amount of racing in. If it was not for that early start, we end because of darkness. There's no other way around it. And this race is 240 laps long. So I do want to give NASCAR credit there. I think moving forward, this has to be ironed out, whether it's with the broadcast, whether it's with NASCAR, and I think this is the next part we could talk about before we get into the full-on bell toll that we had. It is the hand-holding, I think, is what a lot of people are calling it. That's sort of what it's been nicknamed, I think, by everybody. I am of the opinion, I know Adam Stevens went out against it, and that's a pretty strong voice to be against my point I'm about to say here. I'm of the opinion that these are the best crew chiefs, drivers in the country, in the world, best stock car, minds out there. I think they'll learn pretty quick where the line is. That I think that, maybe the first time or so in the lower series, yes, hold their hand. I mean, we've seen the truck series. They probably need their hand held when it's not raining. So I'm cool on that end, but it's like we've learned a bunch of stuff from these lower series races and from the road course side of it as well, that I think that they should have chose. I mean, hey, Larson wanted to go in and get slicks, and that would have been probably the worst possible decision at the end of that race. The drivers and teams would have learned. That's my take on it. I think these are professionals, and they should be treated as such.
That's totally fair. I come down a little softer. We've got some experience in wet weather conditions. We have some experience now at ovals starting a race in wet weather conditions, but picking up midway through, specifically running the final 80 most important laps of the race under wet weather conditions. Like, there is still, in some ways, this is still unprecedented, uncharted territory. So I think being conservative, playing it safe and slow was fine with me, but I'm with you on this part, is that going forward, if we go to, what's the next flat oval on the schedule?
Indianapolis.
I don't think we don't have one for a while. Yeah. Yeah. Let's say Martinsville in October or November, whenever that is. If we go to Martinsville and it's the same thing happens, we have a red flag, but it's like, hey, we can put the wet weathers on with 100 to go and go back racing. I think then, even if you have to keep pit road closed for safety reasons, you should allow the teams then to choose when to pit, which tires to put on. I do think from here on out, the hands should no longer be held. Like, the team should be off the leash, I guess, more or less. But I didn't mind. In this case, I honestly didn't mind it. I saw everyone on social media was super upset, up in arms. I get that perspective, but this was also so new, so unusual still for this sport specifically, that I was okay with them playing it a little safe. At the end of the day, I don't think it impacted the two or three guys battling for the win at the end. They were the best, fastest cars at that point, regardless.
I want to put this on screen because I did get over it really quick too when I saw this. Like, this was awesome to see. I saw the videos of people seeing it in person, but I got my 8 wide racing at freaking New Hampshire. I lived long enough to see Kyle Larson's line being ran at freaking New Hampshire. Like, every time I think I've seen it all, I'm proven wrong.
It's the classic, if it's paved, they're going to use it. You don't see that at most tracks, like actually literally, but we did at New Hampshire of all places. So I'm with you. The visual was cool, especially on restarts.
How about you, Danny?
Yeah, it was something like, I know people was joking like, welcome back, Auto Club Speedway. It's like, it was funny to see them trying so many different grooves, just trying to figure out what would even work. And I even saw some debate. People was like, were they going so low that they were almost like violating the pit road commitment at some points?
They technically were, but they let it go.
You kind of have to, I guess.
I absolutely loved it. I thought that it was really interesting too that all the dirt guys suddenly rose right up to the top of the board.
Yeah, which is so interesting. And I think something the broadcast said that maybe makes sense and does correlate is that in dirt, you're constantly looking lap after lap for the best line as the track physically changes before your very eyes. And I guess in the wet, a similar thing is happening. New lines are constantly developing. But other than that, I don't know what real similarities there are. Maybe it was just coincidence that it was Bell and Briscoe and Blaney and some of these guys up there that have a dirt background. Either way, it was fun. Larson obviously was up there. It was fun at the end to see drivers who had struggled, like Chase Briscoe for the first half of the race, suddenly come on strong and score top fives. Chris Buescher, RFK was a no-show most of the afternoon, and then Buescher's in the top 5 by the end of it. Who would have thunk? So,
and before we go to the winner, I saw his name float down underneath us here. Shout out to John Hunter Nemechek for going through the grass to keep his tires like wet and cool. That was awesome. He did that
a couple of times. That was hilarious. It felt like, that was wild.
He won me on that. Like that alone. Like I know he's made some like doozy decisions in the past and stuff, but man, like that alone. I mean, I'm still grinning about it the way I was on
Pretty
Sunday. But let's.
What we're saying is NASCAR doesn't have to go back to a dirt track. They just need to install sprinklers at New Hampshire, and we'll have a great show.
Dover was doing that today.
Yeah, they were teasing it.
Hey, I'm just saying.
It's a pylon gate all over again. This is going to be the new.
I think the new thing. Higher bank tracks trying to do this, like Dover and Bristol. I think we wouldn't be in for a good time with that one.
They did do the test.
Your lane, Dover.
They did the test at Bristol a couple months ago for the wet weather tires.
That is true.
They did wet that, didn't they?
Yep.
Those maniacs. They'll never stop.
I think they're going to test over. I want my prediction to come true, damn it. But
let's test Talladega.
Well, yeah. Well, one prediction I did get true was the winner of the Cup race. We talked about him a moment ago, Christopher Bell. Just clean. Let's just talk about the clean sweep right now because we'll have plenty of other stuff in the Xfinity breakdown to go over. He looked amazing, especially in the Cup race. The Xfinity race, right place, right time, I think. But the Cup race, he was the best on the dry track. He was the best on the wets. I'm just saying, championship favorite. It's a similar track to Phoenix.
Oh, he is. He won Phoenix. Toyota dominated. Bell was going to win Gateway until something broke. And he wins New Hampshire. And I would say his teammate Martin Truex Jr. was the only other car in the dry that I thought had something for him. But once again, that team found a way to shoot themselves in the foot. So, yeah. But Christopher Bell, no, I was frustrated because I picked Bell to win the Xfinity race. And that race, like you said, was no given. But he got it done 4 for 4. That's insane. That's an actually wild stat. But I didn't pick Bell to win the Cup race. I went Blaney. And Blaney was right there. He was good in the dry. He was good in the wet. He was running second until your boy, Jarrett. Your boy. What was McDowell doing on that restart? What was he thinking? Come on, Mikey.
It's the maniac.
Well, what you don't know,
son. It's just a die cast.
What you don't realize, Eric, is that he's a double agent for Jarrett because he had picked Christopher Bell to win the Cup race.
Oh, darn it. McDowell supremacy. Yeah, well, it was that part frustrated me. But Blaney was in the mix as well. I shouldn't have picked against Bell in hindsight. That was a mistake. That was a boo-boo on my part. I did, however, pick Bell to finish podium both races. So that prediction I did get correct. I hedged my bets, if you will. But no surprise. Bell has been so good at the flat tracks. The long run speed in that 20 car has been consistent week after week. It's weird how consistent that is. So yeah, I think assuming he gets to Phoenix, which with as many playoff points as he's racked up in recent weeks, I think he's one of the favorites just to get there. But assuming he gets there, Bell, I think has to be the favorite at this point. A lot can change, but we just talked about it. There's not a lot of short, flat ovals between now and Phoenix. Bell has established himself as the dominant car at that type of track.
What do you think, Danny? Is he the favorite?
Yeah, definitely. He at that particular track, like New Hampshire especially, like there's no one better than him. The only one who was up there with him, Truex, is retiring, and he had a good race going. He was my pick, but kind of got held back in the end and ran into some stuff he wasn't expecting there towards the end. So it was an unfortunate end to my day. But no, as far as like right now, you have to imagine that's Christopher Bell's playground for years to come for a little bit.
Well, he was close to having it all spoiled for him. Josh Berry has been turning it on the last month. It's like they announced SHR.
He's trying out.
Yeah, they announced SHR is gone. Though, the Berry Childers duo just skyrockets.
Oh yeah, they are impressive.
Keep this in mind. Haas is going to remain, and Joe Custer, I believe, has to be Cole's dad or someone close to him. If we're going to be running that team, he needs to prove that he is good enough to be their Cup driver instead of Joe's son.
if I'm Josh Berry, I don't want to drive for Haas. I think he's upped his stock. He should go to the Wood Brothers or Front Row. He should go to a real team that's got a chance to make the playoffs, because I don't think
Would Brothers really be that much better?
They were pre-Harrison Burton.
Before Harrison Burton, they were a borderline playoff team.
Before Harrison Burton, where was SHR? We can't really go off that measurement.
I guess that's true, but I'll trust the team with a Penske alliance over a team that's now Haas. And we remember the last time that was just a Haas team, right? They were irrelevant. I don't know if they'll be that irrelevant this time around, but they were irrelevant 15 years ago before Tony got there. So if I'm Josh Berry and Rodney Childers, now that Briscoe is off the board, I think Berry's the next best free agent. A lot of talk about Gregson, and I get that he may have, although with the Briscoe announcement, I'm not so sure, he may have Bass Pro Shop support. Johnny Morris
isn't driver loyal. He goes to lots of people.
That's true. He'll open his pocketbook for just about anyone with a fishing line out there. But my point.
Where are you at, Johnny?
Get on this show. It's perfect. Briscoe off the board, I think, makes Berry the next best candidate. And it's arguable what the next best seat is. Is it that Haas seat? Maybe. Is it a Front Row seat? Is it a Wood Brothers seat? I think it's pretty even. I think you could make an argument for any of them. But to Jarrett's point, Josh Berry's been so good lately. You go back a few weeks, he was third at Darlington, top 10 in the 600, had a couple off weeks, but he was seventh at Iowa.
He had good speed at Gateway. He had good speed before he had problems.
So Stuart Haas and shout out Chase Briscoe as well, finishing second. You know, both of those two Stuart Haas cars were good, especially in the wet, and that's worth noting.
Yeah, it's bittersweet when it comes to Stuart Haas Racing, because I want to see what these two could do longer, like in a stable situation. And now
I agree.
It's going to be, no matter which way you look at it, it'll be the second straight year of a big change for Rodney Childers. It's another big change for Josh Berry, who at this point has never had a stable situation in Cup. And it's just, yes, I know that them sticking together would be very, is very good for both of them. But you only can change so much so many times before it shows on the score sheet. And by the way, in the chat, it's soccer. This is America.
They're debating soccer versus football. I think if it's in the Western,
we have no business talking about football since America lost to Japan today.
Oh, yeah, we can't claim American football today, just today only.
We're 2-0 in 1945. Anyway, as it goes to the race itself, with some others running good on speed, Justin Haley. Let's stay on the positive here before we get too far into the weeds towards the 30s here, because trust me, there's plenty to talk about. Justin Haley, man. Just is it surprising anymore? Is it really surprising?
No. It's not. I was laughing at AEB King said, let's let the chat AI decide if it's soccer or football. But
I wish that would pop up for me. I want to see it, but it doesn't come up for me.
I haven't seen it either. I'll ignore it for the time being. But Justin Haley, another driver who reportedly is happy at Rick Ware, says he's loyal to Rick Ware. I love that. I'm happy for him. I think it'd be great if that pairing could continue to evolve and develop together. But Justin Haley's starting to convince me and many others that he is a legit playoff talent. And is Rick Ware all that close to being a playoff team? I don't think so, unless they steal a win somewhere. But otherwise, I don't think so. So if the rumors are true that Haley could end up at the Wood Brothers or could end up maybe at Front Row.
Or a third RFK car even. That's a rumor that's passed around.
If that really comes to fruition, that's my point. You can't pass that up. I respect the lip service he's paying to Rick Ware. This dude took a chance on me when nobody else did. I'm loyal to him. Whatever he wants, I'll do. I respect that, but loyalty doesn't last in NASCAR. It just doesn't. If you get one of these other more established opportunities, I'm not his manager. I don't know Justin Haley that well, but you got to go explore it. If he legitimately has another opportunity out there, I would consider it. I would at least consider it. Don't necessarily have to jump at it, but I would consider it because I still feel Rick Ware is several years away from ever potentially being a legit playoff contending team.
Yeah, I want Rick Ware Racing to keep that upswing and Haley to be the savior, but it just makes too much sense to go to a better team. I mean, especially if it's like main RFK, or if you end up going to maybe the Wood Brothers. That one again is taking a chance on yourself still, because like Danny said, it has been a while since the Wood Brothers has been at that pedigree.
Who's the crew chief over there? It's not
I can look it up.
Oh my
quick.
God, Jeremy Bullins. It's Bullins, isn't it? Or am I wrong? Is he up on Cindric?
I'll look really quick.
I can look. I'm sorry if I interrupted you. I didn't mean to.
I already have the J-Ski score sheet put up here, so
look at you. You come prepared. I need to get Jeremy that bookmarked. Bullins. It is Bullins. That's what I figured. Okay,
that's a good idea. I should bookmark this.
Yeah, I have some of those tabs bookmarked. Come in handy last minute. You never know. Yeah, I don't know. I see folks in the chat, or at least one person in the chat said that the 51 is a third RFK car. That's not actually true from what I understand. And I talked to Justin back in like April, and
in the same shop. But...
yeah, they're on RFK's campus, but they kind of work out back, and they have some sort of an alliance. It's not. To call that 51 a third RFK car is an exaggeration. That's all. The way I understand it, and maybe it's evolved in the last few months, but the way I understand coming into this year, that would be kind of an exaggeration. Like what he's doing in that the 51 doesn't suck like it did 3 years ago, but it's not great either. Like he's making it look better than it is. Yeah, well, that definitely helps.
That helps. Somebody that looked like they were running in an old school Rick Ware car this week was Kyle Busch.
Yeah, they passed on their hand-me-down equipment going to RCR.
And it's not like it was, Kyle Busch ran like 20th this week, but he was still the best guy. They're like, he legitimately got outran on speed by a slow Austin Dillon, who by all metrics is doing much worse than last year this season. I at this point, I'm just going to say it now. Alarm bells aren't going off. Like you have like just straight up tornado sirens going off when it comes to problems for Busch. I mean, screw making the playoffs. Just get something right at this point.
Yeah, get any sort of positive momentum. They had top 10 speed the last 2 races before issues took them out. So you can kind of hold on to that and say they're not terribly far off. Usually they were this weekend at New Hampshire. Both cars finished outside the top 30, but I'm with you. The alarm bells are ringing. We'll talk about this later in the show, or we can even talk about it now, but Andy Petrie suspiciously announcing his retirement the week after his 2 cars ran just absolutely pitifully.
That's interesting.
That tells me there's some shakeup going on within the walls of RCR. Keith Rodden as interim competition director is not going to fix things, not at all, but that at least shows me that, okay, they get it. This isn't acceptable. They realize they have a generational driver and they're wasting him. That's the sad part is, 2022, go back to 2022, September. I picked Tyler Reddick in the 8 to win the championship because I truly believed that RCR had great speed all year. They'd had some bad breaks that took them out of opportunities to win. They still won 3 races that year with Reddick. Less than 2 years ago, I thought RCR was borderline championship contending. Last year, for about 4 months with Kyle Busch, they looked like a championship contender. Like the speed is in there. The capabilities are there. But for almost a full year now, they have underwhelmed, underperformed. And for that, they need to make some changes. They can't just keep doing things the same way, or they'll turn out like Stuart Haas, who I feel was reluctant to make significant behind-the-scenes changes, and it sort of drove their team into the ground after a few years.
Well, think about this. A year ago, like going into the 18th race a year ago, Kyle Busch has 3 wins, 5th in the points, looking like a championship contender. Like, at the time, I was thinking I looked like a genius picking him to win 6 races because in the first 13, he had 3. And he looked like he was good, like enough to do it and surpass it. Now, I mean, I look like the biggest idiot in the world for thinking that. Like,
coming out of the year before with Reddick, that team was hot, and they continued to be hot when they got Kyle Busch in there, and then just slowly but surely, everyone caught up, and they forgot that they're putting squares in the round hole or something over there. I don't know.
Well, and the crazy thing too is like, I'll pop up the playoff standings on the bottom here, but I mean, they're nowhere to be found when it comes to Austin Dillon. Kyle Busch is falling insanely far behind, and I think with Austin Dillon, he's outside the top 30 still, and there's no penalty this year.
Yeah, nothing to blame it on. That's what was blowed my mind. I was looking up numbers earlier today for a video, and last year we all remember Austin Dillon. He was the guy who had 10 DNFs. That was his claim to fame last year, was 10 DNFs. His average finish this year, would you believe, is actually 3 positions worse than it was last year when he had 10 DNFs. How is that possible?
It's just awful. I mean, it's just awful at this point this year. And the entire team It just feels like there's no North Compass. Like there's no leadership. There's just finger pointing and blaming. I mean, we saw it on full display last year for the Xfinity Series with the Sheldon Creed, Austin Hill thing, which in my opinion, kind of looking back, might not really have had any innocent parties. It's just everyone blaming everyone else. And I don't believe you can only have that in one half of the building, but the rest is squeaky clean. Like if there's that stuff outwardly in public and before then in public, how much stuff is going on behind the scenes that we don't know about?
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. I don't know what they do. I don't know what's going to take to fix it, but they got to fix it, and they got to fix it fast because Kyle Busch is still in playoff contention. You can't let this season be a lost season.
Barely. Though.
Oh, it is. It's on its way real fast.
I mean,
can't let it happen. There's time. There's still time. RCR, turn it around. That's why I hope the move today helps that.
I told you guys I rewatch all these old races and stuff, and rewatching 05 and seeing like the numbers don't necessarily speak the whole story. They tell the result obviously, but like Kyle Busch, you'd say, oh, he's having kind of like a similar to his rookie year, worst season yet, but you know, there's hope. And it's like but you look at like Kyle Busch that year, and the speed was actually there, and there was improvement. And this year, it's just like it sort of floundered at the start. It's like, oh, we're getting there, we're good, we're crash. Like it's like the scene in Temple of Doom where they ride the raft down the mountain.
It feels like I'm watching, the end of Roush Fenway Racing again before Brad bought in. So it's like we're going to need to see something where someone steps up so that Richard Childress can step back in the same way that like Jack Roush has. Jack is no longer a big part of the company.
That's a very interesting comparison. I like
Dillon.
that. I can there's definitely some similarities there. Another theory I've heard people toss around recently is that Chevrolet their car is now 2 years old, while Ford and Toyota, they're in the first year. They both have brand new cars with the latest and greatest research behind them. If you look across the board, JTG Doherty is worse than they were last year. Trackhouse is, I would say, arguably, I know Suarez got a win, but they look a little worse than they were last year. RCR obviously looks worse than they were last year. And Hendrick, I mean, they started off strong, but now it's like Larson and Elliott. Byron's kind of up and down. Bowman's, 8th to 10th most weeks. Like even Hendrick looks good, but they're also Hendrick Motorsports. They're going to look good most years. Like maybe there's something to the fact that the Chevys are now outdated and Toyota and Ford, now that they built that notebook, they're just pulling away a little bit.
Hendrick Motorsports, like right now with all the other teams on their fresh stuff, is like it's like how I would expect Alabama football to be with a new coach this year. That they're going to be good. They might not be as elite as they have been, but they're still going to be good. So it's like, but it's the other teams in NASCAR that you have to wonder about how much are they hurting with Chevy still sticking on old equipment. But Chevrolet is also going to be needing to figure out soon what kind of car they're even going to run with the Camaro going away from the production line.
I think the big thing that for the Kyle Busch side is probably why the alarm bells are being rung off for them, but not Chevy as much, is because we clearly see like this is the waning years for Busch being a competitive driver. I mean, he's 39 going on 40.
Yep.
The plateau could come at any point. The nosedive could come at any point. We saw it with Jimmy Johnson. We saw it with Dale Jr. We saw it with Tony Stewart, especially. So like we've seen this before. I think it's fans. We almost have like old driver PTSD at this point because we've seen so many of these heroes we loved growing up just completely nosedive at the end of their career. So we want to see them run well. We want to see them in the best situation possible. And Kyle Busch is one of the last drivers from that old guard of the big NASCAR boom period that we all think of. So I don't know at this point because they're going to pick up that option. Like, what are they going to stick with? Austin Dillon and Noah Gragson next year? I get Gragson's doing well with SHR that's done better, but I don't see him elevating this team. No. I would say, the chances of a Kyle Busch Austin Hill team, I think, are more likely than Kyle Busch leaving this team. That's what I'll say. Richard Childress could fire his grandson before letting go Kyle Busch right now.
Yeah, I think Kyle Busch, you have to assume he's the one thing that works. When all the pieces are functioning around him, he's going to work. And just the pieces aren't functioning right now. So that's where you need to start.
Now, when it comes to some interesting controversy outside of Busch, going back to the front of the pack, meanwhile, back at the ranch, there was a little back and forth with Larson and his spotter we can kind of touch on here. Denny Hamlin racing towards the rain right behind Tyler Reddick, who was leading before we went back racing. He was racing Kyle Larson hard, and he was moving anyone who would go up near Reddick. And basically the spotter just said, yeah, you know why this happens? It's because you let it.
Larson didn't want to hear that.
I don't think that there's this infighting. I think that's just two guys going back and forth, but spotter ain't wrong. Like, at least in my opinion, I don't think he's wrong.
No, I don't think the spotter's wrong. I think that's why Larson lashed out a little bit is there is some truth, and the truth hurts a little bit. At the same time, with all due respect to Tyler Mon, I think those are things that don't need to be said over a public radio. You know what I mean? Like I do, like if you're Kyle Larson, you're in the heat of the battle, you know what just happened. You're not happy about it either. The last thing you want to hear is be reminded, the last thing, like that's not, I don't know that that's the most constructive criticism in that moment. I think Larson's very aware of what happened. Maybe Tyler Mon's intentionally trying to rile his driver up to get him to go back after it. There could be all sorts of psychological games being played, but if I was a driver, I wouldn't want to hear that in that moment. But after the race, Monday morning, Tuesday morning meetings, Tyler Mon has every right to say that. I think he's correct. Like you said, Jarrett, Larson races a lot of drivers aggressively. He'll rub people. He'll make enemies. But when it comes to Larson and Hamlin, bumper to bumper, door to door, the last few years, anytime they make contact, it seems Hamlin is the one who is initiating it. So specifically when racing Denny, I think Larson is way behind. Like the score is uneven in favor of Denny. So when the 5 meets the 11, the 5 I think should stand his ground more than he has. So, in that respect, I think Tyler Mon was correct when he pointed that out. I just wouldn't have said it that way in that moment, I guess.
I want to see something. I want to see something back towards Hamlin. And it's not me, not a Hamlin hater by any means, more just like those two are good at Bristol. I would love to see Kyle Larson pull the bump and run or dump and run, even like spinning him out for a win or something like that. I think it'll almost be poetic justice after Hamlin's win last year. Like the I beat your favorite driver, and a year later it's like your favorite driver junked me, basically. Like something like that. Or Pocono even. Just there needs to be some kind of I don't know what the right word is, because like payback, yes, but I think also just a mutual on-track respect of one another. I mean, Hamlin treats Larson like a rookie. I get that a lot of it's on accident, but I don't think that Denny Hamlin's going to race Kyle Busch that way, or even Joey Logano that way. It's like if I knew I could get away with it, I would. Like anyone, I think would.
I'm trying to find the stat. It was something like Larson and Hamlin have finished 1-2 in like 7 or 8 races in their careers, and every single time Hamlin has been 1 and Larson has been 2. That tells you all you need to know. That just tells you that Larson in modern NASCAR is being a little too nice, a little too lenient when racing Denny. Denny has given it to him. He needs to give it back. Not saying Larson needs to be more aggressive overall, just specifically with the 11 car. He's the score is uneven. I think that's correct.
We're going to have so many angry Hendrick fans at us. You're wrong. He's the greatest driver in the world. He can do what he wants.
He does no wrong.
I mean, to be fair, Larson finished top 5. Where did Denny finish at the end of the day? So I don't know how it got to that point exactly, but I mean, Larson did win the day ultimately over Denny. So maybe his philosophy works.
Would not be a show on my end if there was not an ambulance flying by.
That one I actually heard.
Yeah, they're getting louder, man. They're getting louder. It's like, oh,
I didn't hear anything.
Lucky you. I hear it. Like, trust me. This
makes your whole room rumble.
Thin walls. Really quick, before we go on to the points and all of that stuff, I want to kind of touch on a few things, just give them shout-outs, whatnot. First off, finishing-wise, Stenhouse 7th, John Hunter Nemechek 8th. This shows how bad that 21's been this year. I'm giving a shout-out for Harrison Burton for having a top 15. He finished 14th, but he was running top Harrison. 10. Yeah. The other one is, granted, I'm a little peeved at them that they all left, but it was a hell of a crowd.
They did all leave, man. That place was empty when they went back green.
Yeah, I think I said it on Sunday night where I'm like, shame on you guys. Like, do not leave a race until it's called. Like, I get, if you got work or something, or if there's like a genuine reason you got to leave, but that place had probably like, it holds 76,000. It probably had 65 to 70,000 people, and probably 90% of them left.
Last year, I showed up because we got there to the track area in time to watch the end of the midway part of the Xfinity race and the end of it. And then we stuck around and we watched the modified race until a big storm was coming in. We got soaked walking back to our car. We thought for sure that race was over halfway done. It would be over. They still finished that modified race that night. So New Hampshire will do what they can to get the race in. So never leave New Hampshire early, I found out. Unless it's just like last year where it was just raining all day and they were never going to get going.
They're serious about their modifieds, man. And for good reason. It's a hell of a race every single year. But, I alluded to it a moment ago. Let's look really quick at the playoff cut line. It's getting a little smaller when it comes to the drivers who are closest. So I'll just get the 3 above and the 3 below. Alex Bowman's plus 59, so at least points-wise, a full race above.
I want to note on that one, at one point, he had fell into the 40s until what happened to Bubba Wallace. You can talk about him.
Yeah, I was getting to that. Chris Buescher plus 50. Lucky that the rain tires were used. Joey Logano plus 13. Stage point saved his ass. Then you got Bubba Wallace minus 13. Chase Briscoe minus 25. And Kyle Busch, 45 back. By the way, I don't have it on screen. I believe it is 54 points you can make up without winning a race in a race. So Alex Bowman's still good to go. But, I mean, if somebody under that cut line wins, say, at Chicago or at Indy based on, fuel mileage or something like that, it gets a lot closer necessarily when it comes to some of those guys there. Some of them, like Ty Gibbs and others, are a little bit further above, but this is where the battle is going to be the rest of the regular season. The last 8 races.
Jared, I know you keep notes like crazy, so I'll ask you this because it just feels like this has been such a brutal last few weeks for him. Where was Kyle Busch on this about 6 weeks ago? I'm just curious if you have that.
I don't have it on me, but hold on, I can pull it up.
I actually know he was 11th in the regular season standings I don't remember what race it was, but about 5 or 6 races ago. He has 3 35th place finishes in the last 4 weeks, so Jesus. He has plummeted.
Holy crap.
Like last year, Alex Bowman dropped from pretty good to about where Kyle is now, and that was because he had to take like 6 weeks off.
Let's see. After Kansas, because he lost a spot, but he had a good finish. After Kansas, let's see. I'm doing the math like out loud right now. 314 minus, where's underneath football? All right, so 314 minus 269. I believe it's like
30. That's like 45 points.
He was 45 points above after Kansas, which was...
So he's lost 90 points to the cut line.
He's lost 90 points in 6 races.
Wow. What's crazy was this race specifically, Joey Logano is plus 13 now. Bubba's minus 13. Busch minus 45. They all finished outside the top 30. Bubba got caught up in that wreck with Gregson. Not his fault. Logano, I already forgot what happened to Joey. Oh, he KO'd Elliott that one wreck. What else happened? What happened to Joey? What ruined his day?
I mean, it was that, and then what's the yeah? Now everyone's saying he's doing something.
I forgot. I don't have my notes pulled up. I forgot. I'm blanking. What happened to chat? What happened to Logano? Why did he finish like 32nd? Someone said the damn bowl cut. That was why Bubba finished 30th. What happened to Logano? They're talking about the chat.
It seemed like every person that was on the cut line in some way had some kind of issue. It was a matter of like Buescher being able to recover later in the race. Like that was the only one.
They said he was 3 laps down, a flat tire. I don't remember that. Okay.
It was just awful. I mean, all around it was.
So that flat tire, so that wreck with Chase, ended up knocking him 3 laps down, I guess.
No, it just overall it was an embarrassing day. I mean, when it comes to pretty much everybody on the cut line, it was an embarrassing day. And in my opinion, before the rain showed up, every single team in some way or another, whether it was out of their control or in their control, showed why they are in that picture. They showed why they are the 6 drivers that are in this picture right here. Like, none of these guys are, in my opinion, at least as they're running now, as the teams are now, are true contenders past the round of 16. Like, they're just, all of them have weaknesses in some way. The strongest is Chris Buescher. Like, he's the one that I genuinely feel the worst for, because he probably shouldn't be even in this conversation. He's the only one I can see rising above it right now.
He's been inches from 2 wins this year. So that is frustrating for sure. But shout out Chase Briscoe getting back into the playoff picture after a great win, or not win, great run at New Hampshire.
Yeah, I was surprised. Like, I saw that Bell won. I'm like, all right, put pole up. And then I look back up. I'm like, wait, Briscoe got Barry? Damn, I thought Barry was going to get him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that he was the only one that truly capitalized. Buescher did to a degree. Briscoe, though, I mean, that the end of the race, Briscoe and Barry were on it. Now I'd talked about polls and all of that, but usually we go to TV ratings. I'm just letting everybody in the chat know, all over 500 of you watching, which, by the way, 500 likes, click that like button to get Random Driver of the Week.
That's enough people to lick the like button.
Jared, I don't see the like goal isn't on the screen anymore. Where did it go?
Oh
yeah, it disappeared.
Remind the people.
I had to move it. That's
okay. You're good. Graphics. You're good.
Usually we go to TV ratings, but there's no public data for television ratings for NASCAR. And actually, sports-wise, there's no public data outside of PR agencies that only put the good stuff out since Wednesday 2 weeks ago. Sports Media Watch has been down on it. So
maybe they're just taking a break after the NBA finals. Although the NHL finals, the Stanley Cup finals were just happening. So that's a little weird.
The most recent, I mean, I can double check really quick. But the most recent one on the daily sports ratings they release is, Wednesday 6/12, NBA finals down and other things like that. They have articles on different things like holy Jesus, the NBA rights are worth $76 billion. Oh my God. That's huge. Crazy. I mean, they have news on like the Stanley Cup finals, but I don't see anything on NASCAR. I mean, I'll click the NASCAR tab and double check, but
there's nothing as far as I can tell.
Yeah. I don't know what it would actually be like, but I will say two of their key markets is usually Nashville, and Knoxville is usually good. It was definitely going to be low because the race was competing with the Tennessee Texas A&M World Series games.
Well, either way, with the rain, with all of it, might be good that we didn't get it today. Trust me, by the time we get to Chicago, they'll be putting out ratings. Even if the ratings are down, if it's a big crowd, they'll still put it up. So no ratings this week, but we do have the poll, which I gotta pull up. There it is. I swear I'm not usually this much of a mess. 14,000 of y'all voted when I asked what you thought of the USA Today 301, which, by the way, did you see in turn 3, I believe, they put the camera just perfectly where the USA sign on the top corner of the screen fit perfectly in the USA Today logo. Like, I believe RFK tweeted it. That I know that was on purpose, and they did it damn well. But the USA Today 301 of 14,000 voters, which, Danny, if you want to do the breakdown of how many said which one, go for it. 14% said great and 56% said good, so 70% net positive. Probably the most positive New Hampshire race we've had on this poll. 19% said average, 6% below average, and 5% bad, so 11% net negative. And I mean, I can ask you if it's positive, negative, or meme or one of them, but it's Calypso that did it. So you tell me.
Meme. And by the way, that means 9,800 people thought this was a pretty good race.
Cool.
Nice. Yeah, okay, Calypso. Yeah, Danny, what do you think?
Meme.
Yeah. Loudon, New Hampshire. Such a beautiful place. I always find myself visiting whenever NASCAR rolls into town. I also hear NASCAR is racing at Chicago in a couple of weeks.
Oh, no.
Perhaps I could visit the city again. Then Then again, unless Jarrett Daniel Lundberg fulfills Davy Jones's request and finishes a NASCAR romance novel.
Dang, use your full legal name, Jarrett.
Yeah,
coming
no.
in hot.
The only time I usually heard that growing up was when I really did something wrong.
Well, you didn't finish the romance novel.
That's a sin right there.
That's a cardinal rule you have broken.
I'll live in sin. I can live with that. I'll take the burden on. When it comes to those that chatted, I did not go through and vet this, by the way, so we're just gonna roll with it. Marshall Griffin with the top one here says, might as well rename this track Christopher Bell Motor Speedway.
You should buy a summer home up in New Hampshire. He basically lives there.
Pretty much. 11 all the way says the 6 hours at the Glen, or 6 hours of the Glen, more like 6 hours of New Hampshire.
I was thinking about that because the IMSA race was right beforehand, and I was like, man, I don't know which was longer.
Well, it's about a 2 hour.
It was pretty close.
15-minute delay.
IMSA might have still got it, but it was close.
Yeah, I think they barely did. N4S Videos just put New Hemisphere Motor Speedway. Okay. Blue Jimmy says, well, that was a race worthy of being put in the next issue of USA Today.
Good sponsor plug there.
Pretty good. Silas says New Hampshire? No, New Moisture. Moist.
Ooh, I see what they did there.
I like it. Bobby Blair, what the hell was that?
That's the comment.
That's the comment. Tank Slapper said, had Rick losing his voice, this race took so long. Yeah, poor Rick Allen. He got the Steve Letarte of Iowa for him when it came to his voice. Palmer says, ring your bell. I had a feeling there were going to be a lot of those jokes in there.
I'm shocked there haven't been more bell emojis in the chat tonight.
Yeah, spam some bells in the chat, guys. Come on.
I want the AI to think this is a chat obsessed with the bell emoji.
All right, we do have the gutter here.
I bet this gutter can be really bad.
Yeah, let's see. I'll read 4 of them. First one is, this track is dumb.
We lost Eric. He's frozen.
Oopsie daisy. Oh, he's back. Can you hear us?
Yeah, my internet's going wonky mode right now. Just go on without me.
We're the ones with the storms all around us, and it's Eric's internet that's decided to go McDonald's. Anyway, this one of them says this track is dumb. It was edited. Yvonne says NASCAR blew that race, and Larson begging for tires, so of course NASCAR made the field come down for tires. It didn't help him. What a crybaby. I swear, is it just like a NASCAR fan thing and like a boomer Facebook thing to say everyone's crying? Like,
it's like my least favorite insult among NASCAR fans.
Just get creative, guys. Come on. Like,
it's like someone comes over the radio. Oh man, that guy blocked me in my stall. Quit crying. All he ever does is cry. I'm like, man, that word means nothing to me now. That it has lost all meaning because nobody knows what it actually means.
I mean, call him a jackwagon or something at this point. Do something original. Like,
yeah.
It gets
so dramatic. It's just, I've seen people be like, the guy will get out of the car and be like, yeah, we just got, someone got into me on that last restart, and so we lost a position, but still a good top 5. Why is he always crying? I'm like, what are you talking about? What is going on?
And then it'll be like followed up by like a Minions meme or something. Let's see. Another one here says, Bell and Toyota are single-handedly destroying this sport. What a clown show.
Damn.
They're stealing our jobs. And then Leighton here with the lowest one saying, only 6 lead changes, but the amount of chaos was really fun near the end.
Yeah, I was shocked to see there were only 6 lead changes.
How was that the least voted comment? That wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It's because it had the word chaos. So crying is my second least favorite racing term. Chaos is the worst. It's the most overused, overplayed.
If you're crying, that just unleashes chaos to Eric.
Oh, see, I went in and downvoted that comment 30 times on all my burners.
But that is the poll this weekend. Now, finishing off, we talked about Bell at least winning the Xfinity race. We can talk about Custer, who dominated that race. I mean, absolutely dominated. I think our buddy Auto Racing Analytics put up a post that said basically it would have been Custer and Bell were basically the only ones who would have finished on the lead lap had every race been run under green flag conditions at the speed on average they were. And it was pretty apparent. Like that Custer should have had that race.
Yeah, but Sheldon Creed he's gotta go for it. He was in the mix as well. This is his 10th second place finish. Still looking for that first win.
That's just at
honestly,
this point he's destined. And
respect them on the end there.
We're losing you back and forth.
My internet's all over the place. Y'all just go on. I'll be quiet for a minute.
I've go for it. I think we're good. We got it. We got an opening. We have an
opening. I don't even know what I was now.
I was just saying that respect to the guys at the end there for keeping it as clean as they did, considering all that was on the line, especially for Sheldon Creed. Like I thought he could have gone full bonkers mode, and they just raced hard. It didn't work out, but it was just hard racing, I would say.
The other one that really kind of stole some of the headlines was Bonsignor. Now, he didn't have a good finish at the end of the day, but he ran top 3 to top 5 all day. And his biggest problem was just the small little intricacies of racing the Xfinity Series and like the entry in and out of the pits, entry and exit, I should say. Little things like that, restarts, things that a rookie or a first start driver should have issues with. I want to see him race a few more times in the Xfinity, get some experience, and then like go toe to toe with Christopher Bell or Cole Custer.
I want to see how old is he, because I know because of his modified background, he's 36, so he's not like super young. But I know his modified background, he's very well suited for New Hampshire specifically. I'm not sure. Obviously, he's a good race car driver. I'm sure his skills would translate just about anywhere. But like the New Hampshire is the best place for his NASCAR career to get started, I guess. If he were to take a Gibbs car somewhere else, I don't know that he would run top 5 all day like he did. But I would like to see him give it a few more shots. I don't know what the pathway for him is. I don't know his manufacturer allegiances or what support he may or may not have. But like that was fun to watch for sure. So I'd like to see him get another shot somewhere, maybe another flat track, just to see if he can contend for the win.
And Cito Baran says, give Justin Bonsignor a cookie for that run. Spam cookies in the chat, guys. Let's have some fun with spam some cookies.
Tell the AI your favorite cookies and let the AI think that this is the Cookie Weekly podcast.
And Joey in the chat also, I believe that he finished 4th, I think, but Carson Kvapil also got a top 5, which I think is his 3rd top 5 in 4 career Xfinity starts.
I was actually really close to picking him instead of Alex Bowman, and I wish I would have last week.
I thought about it, but I figured he'd probably run top 5. I didn't think of him winning with Bell in the field. Absolutely not. But like Carson Kvapil, I haven't heard much about Xfinity silly season. I feel like that's all been quieted out by all the cup drama. But I don't know if he has some funding, if he can scrounge it up, and Dale Jr. could have a seat for him full time next year. I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case.
I saw Lisa Little silly season sponsorship wise is for his 21st birthday. Sam Mayer got a vodka sponsorship.
Yeah, that was well played. I thought that the timing on that was kind of funny.
That was pretty good. But overall, I think I'd say an enjoyable weekend, all things considered. They're obviously New Hampshire is New Hampshire, so on the dry normal conditions, it's not going to be this barn burner by any means. But like my litmus test for New Hampshire is this: put it up against Phoenix and tell me if you enjoyed it more. And I enjoyed it a whole lot more,
even before the rain. I agree.
Yeah,
guys, what's everyone's favorite cookie here? Because the chat is dropping all their favorite types of cookies, and I'm reading through it.
I will say this: an underrated one. People were mad that Costco got rid of the churros, but that chocolate chip cookie they have, same size as a cookie from Crumble, but way less the cost and tastes better and holds up better, in my opinion.
Ooh, that's a bold take. I don't know if I've had a Costco cookie. I need to get on that.
I'll take it tomorrow. We got Costco here.
I like it. I got one just down the road. I just need to stop being lazy.
For me, my favorite cookie, ooey gooey sentimental here. My mom's homemade oatmeal cookies. I used to, when I was a little kid, before we moved into the house that I grew up in, within this condo, and my mom would have me up on the counter like little 4 or 5-year-old Jared on the counter and help make all these cookies. I get to have like all the dough and all that while we were waiting. But anytime, especially Christmas time and when it gets colder and I come up and she's made those and it's fresh out of the oven, it's just like, nice. Any diet I had, any
over.
Yeah, yep. It's done. Like I could probably put down 50 of those in a sitting easily with a glass of milk, everything with it. So I'll know if my mom is watching right now. I'm cool with her texting or anyone in my family. I know I'll know for sure if they're watching or not because somebody will bring it up.
Yeah.
And then also got to give a shout out to the one place you wouldn't think of them being a cookie place because they're supposed to be healthier, or they try to be for a little bit.
Firehouse?
Subway cookie, and it is 69 cents a cookie.
Nice.
And those things are very good.
That's a very nice cookie. I'm with you, Jared. Mom's homemade chocolate chip cookies on my end. Very tasty. We have my fiance and I go to this place here in the Dallas area. It's like a crumble rival. They call themselves Cookie Society. I think they might only be in Texas. There's only a few of them, but they had like a king cake cookie for like Mardi Gras time, like back in like March. That was delicious. Little hint of cinnamon, some gooey center. Oh, I will gladly spend $5 a cookie and 800 calories on one of those. Worth it every single time. Anyway,
this is how I can tell when I grew up. Anytime I hear the word cinnamon, all I think is, here I come, I am cinnamon.
I used to scarf down double stuffed golden Oreos every day after school in like middle and high school.
Golden Oreos, is that like the vanilla kind?
Yeah, and they were the double stuffed creamy. My dog loved them too. She'd come sit next to me because she knew she'd get some. Like that was her favorite treat, was a golden Oreo.
God, thinking about Cookie Crisps. Do you know they don't make those anymore?
Oh, that was terrible cereal. I used to eat them sometimes.
But apparently I saw it on Twitter, and someone said the caption was they done gentrified Cookie Crisp because it was a Crumble branded chocolate chip cookie cereal.
Oh gosh.
That is the perfect place, I think, to end off. We can't top that.
Yeah.
Let's roll on in. You guys time me. I'll get into the first super chat stage break of the night. First one from Bailey here. Left this before the show, the $2 super chat, saying, I think Ford loses all of SHR's drivers beside Cole Custer. That is a real possibility.
It could be like Gregson to RCR could happen. Herps to 2311. I mean, gosh.
If you're Joey Logano's agent, it's like, oh, maybe we should see what happens after this contract because Ford keeps screwing the pooch on it. Irvin Alvarado for the 10 here. If NASCAR is going to baby the teams on rain tires and conditions, they might as well open a daycare center. Now, then, time for nappy time. Teams, then we will have snacks and then playground time. Okay. He's going a little overboard, but it's funny.
Yeah, he leaned into that bit hard.
Yeah. Calypso, thank you for the super chat. Oh, Jarrett, I see rains on the forecast for Nashville on Sunday. Perhaps I shall be merciful if you finish the NASCAR romance novels by then.
Never gonna let that go.
Nope. NASCARson for the 10. Hey, NWP, New Hampshire Cup. Congratulations to NASCAR on getting the race in on Sunday with the rain tires and shocking fans with the result. Xfinity, Bell made it a show on the last lap. I'd say a pretty good summary. We got Fred Dog 81 for a couple here. Gun to your head. What teams are you driving for next year? Haas, a team that is in constant flux, or RCR, a team that is such a mess they couldn't announce crew changes properly on social media?
Oh, man.
That's a good one.
I would pick RCR only because I'm more confident they'll still exist after next year. I could see Haas being a 1-year thing and then they sell that charter. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd still do RCR.
I'm going to put the poll up while we do that. That's a good one. I'd say RCR for now just because of stability, yes. But Haas has, I think, the higher ceiling of the next couple of years, in my opinion.
Are they going to have a direct manufacturer support or a team alliance? Because if not, they're screwed. They're going to be Rick Ware Racing or worse. There'll be Colleague.
I don't know. They don't have Tony Stewart there anymore. So that might help
really
them afford.
Seem like they may be on the same level as a Colleague.
FredDog81 has another one here saying, one thing NASCAR did that isn't getting talked about is letting him fill up on gas during the red flag. It removed a lot of the drama and strategy for me.
Yeah, is that a rule? Because that did seem weird to me. It like bailed out Reddick and maybe McDowell and
that
else.
was not a good decision.
Like maybe that's a rule and they knew that, but if that was just sort of made up on the fly, that's kind of silly.
Yeah. And then Miles the Munster for the first super chat in this channel here. Off topic. Yo, Eric, what's your take on the Ghost movie right here, right now?
We just hit 3 minutes, so this can be one of the last ones. I saw it the other day in theaters. Yes, the band Ghost did a concert movie. It was fun. A very well-produced live show, movie production. They added some like little skits to build up the lore of the band, and some of that was, I mean, it's all cheesy and kind of tacky. It was fine. It's kind of fun. It's goofy. It's tongue in cheek. It's okay, but like the stuff that was really great was all the actual concert recording. Like that was like, ooh, HD. Felt my seat rumble. Love that. And their new song that they released with the movie has been stuck in my head all week. I actually can't sleep. It's that bad stuck in my head. So.
You got to show it to me then when you get to town tomorrow.
I don't know if it's for everyone, but it's.
What's the name of it? Can you say the name?
The Future is a Foreign Land. It is so damn catchy. It reminded me why this is like my favorite band the last few years.
The Future, the Foreign Land.
It's like a 60s style kind of groovy rock song. It's good, man. It's so good.
By the way, we're over 350 likes, so be sure to keep liking up the stream. Last super chat here of the super chat stage break from Shane for the 5. Hot take. Fox's driver tunes look better than NBC's IRL photos. They've got horrid lighting, washed out on the sides, and too dark above and below. I will say that is something NBC this year that I think is a little ugly. I will not put it worse than the tunes, though. I can't do it. I'm gonna end the poll, by the way. 54% chose RCR to 46% choosing Haas. So pretty even.
That's more even than I would have thought, honestly.
Guys, it is coming up here. There is thunder outside. First off, this is the lightning round. Should I wear the meme hat for the lightning round? Have a little fun with it? I won't wear it the whole time. I see Eric already losing. What do you guys think? Yeah? Nah? Yeah?
I think asking the question, I think you just got to hit us with it or not hit us with it.
All right.
Don't put it out to a poll because we can't. I don't want to be complacent. What's the word? Complicit. I don't want to be complicit in this bit. I want you to just do it or not do it. My hands are
deal
clean.
Or no deal. All right.
Yeah, he's got a bit. Oh gosh.
and guys, we have made a decision now. We need to remove an admin from this show.
Hawk Tua. Let's go for it.
Say it. Oh, why did he say it?
Oh man, I figured I'd just go fully in on the bit. Let's talk really quick about the Spotify crowd here. We gave them a poll this week of who makes the playoffs: Logano, Briscoe, or Busch, or none of them. That is an option. 8% chose none of them to make it. 9% chose Briscoe, 22% for Busch, and Joey Logano at 61%. That's what the crowd says. So thank you to them as well for voting. MBM will enter Josh Bilicki in the 66 team for the Chicago Street Race. Figured I'd add that in. There's some MBM fans out there.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of grass at racetracks, look away, though. The grass at the Daytona Superstretch has now been completely paved over.
Wow, there's no grass back there?
Yeah. They're talking about bringing in turf or sod for when they run the 24-hour race.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, for the IMSA, like, how's that that's going to be ugly.
Hot take, I think they shouldn't take the grass. I don't know if it's a hot take. Maybe it's a hot take industry-wise, but I don't think they should take the grass out.
Probably a hot take for anyone other than Ryan Preece.
I get it for safety reasons, at least for the NASCAR side, but I'm kind of like you. I'm like, I don't.
Is it really going to make, like, look at Danica Patrick in 2012 when she had that huge hit? There was no grass. All she did was just completely slide in, and what was there grass if she would have flipped or hit the splitter? Like,
I mean, Tallavega's mainly had paved back there forever, hasn't it?
Since '06, since the repave. I don't, part of it too is probably preference. I think it aesthetically looks better with grass.
That's the thing. Like safety obviously is paramount, but I'm with you. Aesthetically, grass looks so much better. So obviously safety is more important than aesthetics, but it's like at the same time, it's Daytona. How safe is it really? You know what I mean?
Just put turf down there if you really want to, like Charlotte did. They proved it can work. Like just have something there.
Yeah, just paint it green. Honestly, keep it like asphalt, but paint it green. Yeah, honestly,
I will say, if a track made a decision to get rid of natural grass and go to turf like they have for football, oh my gosh, you could make the sponsor logos pop out so much, because while I like it when teams play on natural grass, if you go to a turf field, man, those colors look amazing to see in person.
I just wouldn't want to play on turf after all those knee injuries lately.
Yeah. Toe.
Also, when it comes to the lightning round, back to it really quick. City of Chicago recently had a little news come out from the Chicago Tribune. There was a spokesperson's email that said the city will decide on whether they pick up the third-year option for the Chicago street race very soon. My opinion, I think they're waiting to see how this year, without biblical flooding, as they put it, happens. Because I easily think they could have had way more people in there had it been just a nice normal weekend. And of course, it's a very advanced forecast, but I was looking ahead because obviously I will be up at least for the 4th of July with my family. And it's looking more and more likely that it's going to be just a normal weekend and not Noah's Ark. So that's a positive. And then a couple little bits of business here to attend to. And we lost Eric. He'll be back.
Wow.
Actually, it's nice. I fit perfectly in the screen this way. Danny's on one side, so we got it perfect. But while we get Eric back, we should bring up a few things. First off, there is a link down in the description. We have our.
This is gonna make my predictions really funny.
Okay. But really quick, I want to get to this. There is a link to the NWP channel where we're going to, from basically 2 weeks ago on, put the full replays of every NWP episode on there, probably Thursday night, Friday morning. So if you want that, and maybe, who knows, maybe we're all three going to be in the same spot this weekend. Maybe we could just randomly go live on that channel at some point. So just saying. You might want to subscribe to it. There's plenty there, and we got plenty of stuff we could be doing in the future on there. Because if we didn't do it the first 2 times, damn it, we'll get it the third. We tried it with the clips, didn't work, so we're just gonna put more stuff on there. Also, the Battle at Broadway at the Nashville Fairgrounds. All 3 of us will be there at that as well. Josh Berry he was testing for it recently. He'll be racing. Ross Chastain, Tommy Joe Martins, among others. Our buddy John Ramos will be the announcer up in the booth, lead announcer of the Nashville Fairgrounds. So if you want to see all of us, come check it out. And then a quick reminder for, where's that? Next week, right here. We will be on Eric's channel. Note the change, though. We'll be live Tuesday, July 2nd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We are all, unfortunately, it's one of the few times Wednesday scheduling did not work out. So we had to put it on July 2nd, Tuesday night. And then our buddy John Ramos, IDK player, will be live the next night. So we basically, NR Night and NWP swapped dates for a week. It just worked out better, so all 3 of us could be on the show together. Speaking of which, Eric's coming back, and guests up and coming in a few weeks as well. We do have John Ramos on, and note, Danny, I did use a picture that was from your house with John. He'll be alive July 10th with us that week, and then David Land will come on to preview the Brickyard July 17th. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm sorry, I had to use that picture of John.
Man, that was. I wish you were able to be there, Jared. That was that was such a happy vibe. Me celebrating my baseball team winning national championship, him celebrating his NHL team's first ever Stanley Cup. That was a good night.
Eric is back, but he's been demoted to the bottom screen now.
I deserve it. I don't know what's going on with my internet tonight. It's been fine. Forever.
So we will be on your channel next Tuesday, pending your internet as well.
Tuesday.
Sure sounds like it. Very exciting. Yes, Tuesday. What's next year? Sorry about that. Thanks for holding down the fort without me.
Oh, good. Well, I just had mentioned, and I'd put the picture on for guests really quick. I figured you might want to see this one, the picture of John. I'm using that as the promo pic from now on of him.
I like that. Happy times.
Oh man. When it comes to what's next up, let's get a little silly. Let's talk a little silly season, a little bit of what's been happening. This happened basically 12 hours after we got off of here last Wednesday. So this happened early Thursday morning. Haas is back for like a one-car team, Haas factory team. There's a couple of details here to go over. We'll stick with Ford. The favorite, while no driver's been named, the favorite is Cole Custer. And that Haas will run one car. No news on sponsorships, anything like that. Danny, lead us off here. What are your thoughts leading into 2025 of the Haas factory team? Great name, and I'm going to switch the hats now.
Ooh, that's an interesting name, and I'm not so big into F1, but that's been like the one project where it's been Haas in and of themselves, no Tony involvement. How has that project really been? I don't really know enough on F1.
They suck.
They're not exactly great, no.
So that scares me to see them on their own like that. And it's like you had that question, would you go to RCR or would you go to Haas? And it's like, yes, I think you could argue for a long time. Yes, this team needed to back down to one ride that would have been beneficial, but also it's like, well, would they be any less different now than what they will be next year? Because it seems like Tony has just gave up on them a long time ago anyways. I don't really know what to expect of them. I don't anticipate them being a front runner by any means. I don't anticipate them being the worst car in the field. Like, I guess I have them on the same level as like Colleague. They could win a race. They could suck it up. You just never know what to expect.
Sort of right between like Front Row and Rick Ware Racing's normal running.
Definitely below Front Row, but probably slightly above Rick Ware in terms of competition.
It's just going to come down to if they get any direct manufacturer support. Like, I think it's big that both Xfinity cars are going to continue, and they likely will continue to have a close relationship with Ford on that side, because without Stewart Haas in the Xfinity Series, Ford practically has no presence. So that's big from an industry standpoint and a competitive standpoint. I'll be really interested to see who gets those two cars. I feel Harrison Burton has to be one of the first guys that get a look. Just considering he has had success in Xfinity, he's likely not going to be with the Wood Brothers, and he brings at least a little sponsorship, good industry connections. Everyone likes the Burtons. He's a Kevin Harvick client. Like, I think Harrison could end up there. Maybe Ryan Preece gets the other seat. I think we could see some current Stewart Haas drivers maybe would end up there, like a Preece or.
I see Riley Herbst being done either way with this team. I won't be shocked if Riley Herbst and Monster Energy likewise end up back within the JGR Xfinity Alliance.
The rumor is that he's going to, yeah.
Well, she needs a good ride.
The Herbst rumors all say he's going to 2311. I heard from kind of an indirect source that they're going to help 2311 buy a charter. And it's like, wow, you really want to be that closely tied to the Herbst family? Like, I don't know him personally, and Riley seems like a good dude, but is that you want that to be like your future? I don't know that he's cut out for a full-time Cup. Like, I don't see him.
I guess they want to maximize that Monster money. I guess I don't know.
I guess. But back to Haas, I guess it all is going to come down to if they have direct manufacturer support in Cup. Because if they do, which I don't know, do any single car teams besides maybe the Wood Brothers technically because of that Penske alliance, but like JTG Doherty doesn't get factory support, at least not a ton of it. At least they're not in the same level as like Trackhouse or RCR even. They would be
praised by Chevy, like when they won a Daytona 500, but that would be about it.
I think kind of your point was correct, Danny. I imagine this Haas car will run 25th to 30th around where Colleague runs most weeks. And depending on the driver, depending on the track type, maybe Colleague with Allmendinger at a road course could win, but everywhere else, they're not a contender to win by any means. I think Haas factory team will be in the same boat unless shockingly Ford's like, nope, you're still full on tier one. We'll keep rolling with you. Maybe then they can contend.
I've got it. They should hire Ty Dillon.
Ty Dillon always pops up good on the other end. It's like a cat, just lands on
his feet. Ty Dillon, didn't he score a top 20 this weekend?
I think so.
Somebody check the tape. Where did Ty? I looked up. He was 11th or 12th or something towards the end of the race, and I was like, "Whoa!"
That should be one of those random Twitter accounts. Where did Ty Dillon finish this weekend?
There is one. Did Kyle Busch crash this week?
Just yes or no.
Just yes or no. I think the interesting thing when it comes to Herbst, at least looking how it'll be in Cup, is I believe he's starting in the 15 this week at Nashville. Correct?
Who is Herbst? Yeah, I believe so.
I want to see how he compares to Justin Haley.
That's a great. Hold on. That's a great thing to note, honestly, because has Herbst made any Cup starts at a non-super speedway?
You'd have to check me, but I can't remember any off the top of my head.
I don't know that he has. I'm checking. He's made 6 starts in Cup. Last year it was all Daytona and Talladega, and this year his 2 starts were he ran Kansas and finished 35th.
Ooh, boy.
And that was in the 15. I don't know what happened in that race. He finished 2 laps down, but so I'm curious to see if with all this Herbst to Cup to 23 to like talk, I want to see how he does this weekend at a traditional intermediate track. Can he run top 25? He doesn't have to finish there, but can he run top 25? That would be impressive.
Can you check for me if you still have it up? Where did Justin Haley finish in that Kansas race?
Give me 1 second. My internet is really stressing right now.
I could check if you need to.
No, I got it. Where the hell? I got to. Where is he? Justin Haley, 18th.
Ooh, boy. Oh boy, that's not a good comparison. I'm not.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna. It's one race, and I don't know what happened to Herbst. Maybe he was spun out. Maybe there's a penalty. I don't know what happened, but
we didn't remember it, so it obviously wasn't that good.
No, it wasn't great. Yeah.
So that is going to be, I think, really interesting when it comes to where the money moves on all this, because you got to think that a lot of that monster money probably helps that Xfinity program a lot, and it's going to be really difficult to replace that if he moves on, like the rumor is.
Good point. Yeah, I don't know. Dex Imaging is not going to bring that much money.
Yeah, no, not at all. Now, to the other big thing that happened silly season-wise, and shocking, it's at New Hampshire, so of course Christopher Bell had to be the first on this one. Talking about Chase Briscoe, not Elliott, not Cabry, not, Costanza, I don't know, or whoever, Chase, whatever's.
The Chase,
yeah. Chase Briscoe will be going to JGR in the 19 car next season. Bass Pro Shops will stay aboard, it looks like. To what degree,
that's crazy.
We don't know yet. But
they said they're going to be the primary for Daytona next year.
They've been pretty big on it. I don't know, guys. I think this for me, Briscoe here. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. If he fails here, it's over.
He said it. If he fails here, he can't win here, then why even keep going? That sounds really dark when I put it like that, but that's kind of what he said. He's like, it's like, if I can't win in a Gibbs car, I'm not cut out for this, which, strong words, but he said similar things in 2020 and went on to win 9 Xfinity races that year. So Briscoe, in some ways maybe thrives under pressure. I like this move. A lot of folks are down on Briscoe, calling him average, mediocre. Really, this guy is Gibbs material. I saw one brutal tweet out there questioning his aura, questioning whether Chase Briscoe has a Joe Gibbs Racing, sort of just vibe about him, and all that. It's fun, it's good fodder. I'm glad there's a debate out there. It's not just everything's great, but I do think this is a good move. Chase Briscoe has never had top tier Cup equipment. I will die on that hill. The year he got to Cup was the same year Harvick went winless. That's the kind of shit he was dealing with his first year as a rookie trying to figure out the Cup Series, and it hasn't gotten much better. I ran the numbers. In the last 3 years, Kevin Harvick has 2 wins at Stewart-Haas. The next most is Chase Briscoe with 1. So if you're right on the heels of a future first ballot Hall of Famer, that tells me you're doing a pretty good job, especially when you're a rookie, a sophomore. So is Briscoe going to light the world on fire and contend for a regular season championship out the gate like Martin Truex Jr. has? Probably not. But long term, I think this is a good play. I think he's going to contend for multiple wins a year. He's going to make the playoffs. And who knows, if he hits on it, he can make a deep run. I think this is a good move. You don't question the work ethic with Briscoe. Truex, honestly, you do. Truex is lazy. The way everyone talks about him, that he's just so naturally talented, he didn't work during the week. Chase Briscoe is going to work during the week, and he's naturally talented. So, he compared himself to Truex in his press conference saying, hey, Martin came to, Furniture Row, Gibbs, and his career took off. I'm hoping the same thing happens for me. I don't know that it will. I'm not saying Briscoe is going to be a future Hall of Famer when it's all said and done, but I think he's going to be good in that seat. When you look at when you survey the landscape, who else could you have put in that 19? I don't think there was any better candidate out there besides Chase Briscoe.
Rodney Childers. but they're keeping James Small, so they're not gonna. That couldn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, you're seemingly praising this, but I'm praising Chase Briscoe for being brave enough to go into this, because let's look at it like this, guys. We have seen this team cycle through and out the door. Eric Jones won races for them. Daniel Suarez did not win races for them. I guess that's really all we've seen cycle for the Cup Series at this point.
JJ
Yaley.
He was Jason Leffler.
Jason Leffler. This team has a history of having high expectations, unless you're Ty Gibbs. And if you're not winning multiple, and I mean multiple races, not Eric Jones multiple, but winning week after week, if you're not in that company, if you're not meeting that elite tier that JGR is, they will kick your butt out the door and move on to the next rookie in line.
Or anyone. I mean, look at Joey Logano.
Yeah, Joey Logano went on to be a 2-time champion.
Good
and
point.
They said that's not enough. Out the door. You're not Tony Stewart 2.0. Out the door.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Because here's the thing about Chase Briscoe. I imagine he's cheap. I imagine his contract relative to Hamlin, Truex, maybe even Bell. I bet he's affordable.
They just had to ask Bass Pro, do you want to stay with this guy? Sure.
And that's the thing. He's not. I thought Bass Pro might walk out the door with Truex because there's rumors that they're going to throw more support behind Gregson. We know Johnny Morris and Truex are tight, but it sounds like they're bought into Briscoe. Joe Gibbs sold them on Chase Briscoe, which is great, but how long is that going to last? I think Briscoe's for sure in the 19 for at least 2 years, maybe even 3 years for sure, regardless of performance. I think he's in there for at least 2 years, but that third year is probably an option year. And because he's cheap, because he doesn't bring much of his own sponsorship, it's Bass Pro, a Gibbs sponsor doing this. If he doesn't perform these next 2 years, I'm with you, Danny. If there's a better candidate out there, Joe Gibbs has shown in the past, they will kick you to the curb if a better option is available.
And I will say this, thinking of the Bass Pro relationship there, Johnny Morris has been close to Tony Stewart, and ultimately, they may have went to Tony and, asked for his honest opinion because they have a lot of respect for him as well, was sponsored him and has been sponsoring his team as well this year. So, I think that probably plays into it. But how about that too? This is actually pretty cool for Chase Briscoe that, he grew up from Indiana, big Tony Stewart fan. Not only did he get hired by Tony Stewart to drive for his team, he's now going to the team that gave Tony his big break in NASCAR.
And he got one of Tony's old sponsors.
How about that?
It's like Emp said.
Now he just needs Tony's win history.
It's like what Emp Lemon said. You just watch NASCAR long enough, it always comes full circle. Speaking of possible tracks that you come full circle to getting in and out of the playoffs, let's shift over here to some silly season schedule news from Jordan Bianchi that broke on Sunday night. We watched New Hampshire, and that is one of the tracks that's now, I wouldn't even say rumored. If it's Jordan Bianchi with schedules, it's pretty accurate, all things considered. And it's looking like New Hampshire and Gateway are the other two tracks other than Darlington that will be added into the playoffs, in place for Watkins Glen and the Homestead Miami Speedway. How are we feeling about this, guys? Because I know that a lot of people online were very, very upset at a bit of this news.
It's a shame that Watkins Glen's getting kicked out before they've even had the chance to actually host a playoff date. You know, they'll get one this year, but we haven't even seen it yet.
It doesn't feel like a playoff track to me, honestly.
That I agree with. I think move it back into August. That's where it's been well served for many, many years. So I'm not going to miss Watkins Glen. Homestead, obviously, we talked about this some last week. It needs to be a late playoff track, preferably the championship track, or else I don't feel it has an identity. I know your point, Jarrett. You did a good video this week that theoretically Homestead being early in 2025 gives them ample time to renovate the facility for the championship race in 2026 should the city win out on their bid. That's very plausible, but there's a lot of ifs in there. I just worry that they're going to move this race to February 28th. No, it was February 20th. It'll probably be in March.
Yeah, because I think they're keeping Atlanta the second race.
Yes, I was mistaken because February 28th, 2021, when I was doing research, they ran a spring Homestead race a few years ago, and it was unremarkable, I would say. My problem is anything short of the championship date, this track it's not it. Like even last year in the round of 8, I was there. Stands were 60% full. There was probably 25,000 people at that cup race. It was not good. And that's late October, playoff race, crucial moment of the playoffs. It's not the championship. People didn't show up. And I actually heard some people talking about on Twitter this week. It's a fair point. Homestead is close-ish to Miami. It's about 30 minutes away. Miami's a big city, flashy market, good for a finale, but there's nothing else out there. If you look at a map of the United States, Homestead, Florida is basically the southernmost tip of this country before you hit nothing. There's some, I guess you get the Florida Keys, I guess, are a little further south, sure, but that's just, old people on vacation, I guess. So, I mean, there's just nothing around. You're not bringing in people from Jacksonville. You're not bringing in people from Atlanta or Tallahassee or Birmingham. They're not driving all the way down to Homestead, Florida. That's a 7-hour drive. So it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. If it's not the championship race, does this track even have a future? And so they better win that bid in 26. That's all I'm hoping for.
That's my argument with it, is because if you're moving it to March, you're now giving basically 18, 19 months to spruce up the place. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I love Homestead for the racing, and as a racing fan, it needs to stay. But, we talked aesthetics. We talked attendance and the importance of all that. Attendance-wise, it's been dismal. I mean, if 60% is the best they can pull when it's not the finale, that's pretty terrible, all things considered. People always want to bring up every time I talk about Chicagoland, well, the attendance sucked there. It's like, well, Homestead ain't much better, and I don't hear people calling for that race to be removed. It shouldn't. But our seats that we had for the 2019 finale are gone, and now they just have a bunch of scaffolding up there holding up some suites. It looks awful. The track itself, great, but everything else around it run down. And a lot of people will argue with me, like, why do you care about amenities? I don't come here to look at the stands. And I'm like, that's a good point for a diehard. If you're trying to bring somebody new and you're like, here, sit in this high school bleacher at what's supposedly a professional sporting event, like, it's not up to snuff with the modern attending audience, the way that basically I'd say a good amount of tracks are now. I mean, Phoenix, for instance. And think of it like this. If you want to think of it like this, why it matters how a facility is. Would Phoenix have the finale if it wasn't for the fact that they put a shit ton of money into that place and they made it one of the best tracks to attend, even if the racing isn't all that good, on the entire schedule? Daytona, absolutely amazing in person in every single way. You need to make the entire experience matter. And my argument of why I think it's a good move is that even if it's not 100% guaranteed that it gets a 2026 finale, taking that giant swing at it, taking that short-term loss for a possible great long-term gain and getting it back where I think it belongs, that I think is the best way to go about it. Be aggressive with it. If it doesn't work out, then this place was not meant to be on the schedule long-term because it didn't have the support. It doesn't have the support on TV. I mean, last year I think it was like a little over 2 million people watched, and that was down from the year before. That was down from the year before. Like, people don't watch this race.
You go back to that 2021 race, I was getting mixed up in my head. It was the third race of the year. It got 4-something million viewers because the third race of the year always gets a lot of viewers, but it was still down double-digit percentage over the third race from the previous year, which was Auto Club. Like, it was still blown out by Auto Club Speedway, which is in Los Angeles, but not really. So I think to your point, Jared, I'm with them. I want them to take a big swing, go for 2026. And if it doesn't work out, then you're right. This just may not be a good long-term facility. There are so many at this point now, with Iowa proving to be a viable Cup Series market. Like there are other, if we go to Montreal or Mexico, wherever, like I know it's a NASCAR owned facility, but NASCAR's got their hands on all sorts of other projects. I know, I don't hate to talk about this because I know there's some folks that obviously grew up growing to Homestead Miami Speedway. Everyone is nostalgic for their home track, and I don't want to wish anything ill on someone's home track by any means, but I could see Homestead going away in the next few years. And if it does, there are no shortage of other NASCAR ready facilities that could potentially replace it. Not as the finale. You're not probably going to Iowa in November, but just in general on the schedule. And if that happens, it just happens. It's the life cycle of the sport. It would suck because Homestead puts on some of the best racing, but the fan support is just not there. It's not there unless it's the finale. And even then, hopefully we find out in 2026 if that's a viable option.
Right. When you think of NASCAR racing in Florida, you think of, well, it's their second home. They have an office there in Daytona. So that's what you think of, and now they've shoved Phoenix down our throat long enough, that ship has sailed. I don't see the championship going back to Miami.
Like, I think even the Florida side of it as well. Like, if you think of tracks or races, in general, let's just say tracks in Florida. Think of course Daytona, think of Sebring. You think of the Miami race for F1 that's been eating into this market. So NASCAR has to take the swing at it. That's the one I think that's taken the biggest headlines with this. I'm going to say this. I don't mind Gateway necessarily being in because of the marketing factor and getting attention to the race, which is nowadays what the playoffs desperately needs. That section of the schedule has taken a nosedive in viewership, sometimes even at the track. You need someone who's going to be flashy, who's going to set off 10 nuclear bombs on the backstretch, and hopefully NBC will catch this instead of ignoring it. So I don't necessarily mind that. It always has really great and flashy moments. I think the strategy part too, you're not going to go too insane with it. New Hampshire, I think there's a reason it was taken out. But I'll say this though. The rumor that Kansas could be moved to the fourth to last or third to last, like basically the race before Martinsville or two races before, like that's just 2-3 weeks away from the finale. Like the weather is not going to be that much different. Put Kansas on the finale. It's championship. It's the championship town of like the biggest sport in America. It has the pedigree already. It's building up. They built up basically a town around that track. The casino. There's all these other restaurants that have opened up around there. That area of the city back like even in 2006 was nothing but farmland and grass. And now because of that track, it is built up. The freaking Chiefs want to build their stadium across the street. It's that good of a town now. Like around that area. Especially if they move the championship another week up because NASCAR keeps compacting the schedule as much as they can. I don't see why we don't have the best possible racing as the finale. It's not chaos necessarily. It's awesome racing. I'm saying these shifts can lead to other shifts in the future.
I'm with you. The only thing I disagree with you on is if I could have picked between, I don't think we need New Hampshire and Gateway in the playoffs. That's too many flat ovals. If I could pick one, I would probably actually pick New Hampshire because I think Gateway in June has been, it's a proven hit, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like it's selling out. It's getting good ratings. The weather has been decent, maybe been hot. I don't know, but it's been decent. Whereas New Hampshire has had weather issues in June, July, the past few years. Crowd was better this year, but hasn't always been consistent. It's got history being a playoff date. That's why I would maybe put New Hampshire in there over Gateway.
I'm just saying New England in the fall is elite. Give me that mid-October date for New Hampshire, and let's see the shot of those fall colors, from over the track.
Well, it sounds like it'll be the middle race between Darlington and Bristol.
Yeah, so it'll probably be in September.
It's still gonna be hot. It could rain still.
No, the weather, like New Hampshire gets cooler around that time of year compared to, like, if you compare it to the Midwest and the South that time of year, like you're gonna have all these teams that are gonna go at the freaking hot ass surface of the sun, Darlington, up to like, oh, it's kind of nice New Hampshire, back down to Bristol. Like it's gonna be hot as hell, and then like you got that little middle nice little. If
you're gonna make people wait to go to New England, why why tease him with New England in fall and not give it to them?
I think that's just more to like the travel involved with it, and even then, it's like you're going to go from Darlington back home really quick and then up to New Hampshire. So I think that probably plays into it. Whereas, like if you do to Bristol, it's not as long, but still, then you have a bit of a long trip. Then New Hampshire, then over to Talladega. That might be part of the thinking too. I'm not crazy about it though, because I mean, if you're looking tentatively at what we got, we have Darlington, New Hampshire, Bristol. Then Gateway, Dega, Roval, because it sounds like Marcus Smith wants to keep the Roval at all costs. Then
We're losing Eric again.
Damn. Then Kansas, Vegas, Martinsville, and Phoenix. So you got Phoenix, Martinsville, Gateway, New Hampshire. 4 of the 10 tracks are flat oval tracks. Bristol, pretty good, but we'll still count that like it's a short track. You got the Roval. You're basically looking at 6 races that could be complete duds at the most important time of the year. And I don't know about that, man. Like, I don't think Watkins Glen should be in. I don't think Atlanta should be in, but I feel like there's got to be better options. I think if you're going to put a New England track, a East Coast track in, put Dover in there. I mean, I think the racing's gotten better necessarily. But at the same time, the racing wasn't that good this past year, even though it was good the first 2 years in next gen. So I don't know. I think this is a huge downgrade overall, and that's what sucks about this whole thing. I think Homestead will be put back in at some point, so we'll probably take one of these flat tracks or road course away. But if you're gonna do this, at least give us a Charlotte Oval, please. Like
the Roval has overstayed its welcome.
Dude, can you imagine?
If they bring the Oval back, put Watkins Glen in the playoffs, because I would like a road course in the first half of the playoffs.
I'm fine either way with the road course, but dude, can you just imagine, like, especially if they get the super speedway package right, like this 4-week span of Dega, then Charlotte Oval, then Kansas, then Vegas, like that's elite. Like that's an elite stretch of races.
If we need a road course in the playoffs, it should be the only world-class road course facility we go to, and that's Circuit of the Americas, in my opinion.
I don't think with the long F1,
it's too close to F1.
Unless you put it in the first round and F1 moves back further, I don't see it happening, and that sucks. I agree with Danny on this.
Yeah, that's a good point, but yeah, I think the F1 calendar will be a roadblock.
Screw F1, we're more important.
I agree.
At
we're
Coda,
more competitive.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Coda was built for F1. Yeah. Damn.
But yeah, I think
and now it's being built to be a amusement park too. They have a roller coaster.
I know they've been hyping that up for a while. I'm excited.
I'm just thinking about this for a second, man. Like if they figured out the short track package, right, and then they got the Charlotte Oval, like this wouldn't be an issue. Like this really would not be an issue much with the schedule at all. Like if they just fixed that shorter track package.
With the old car, we'd be praising this. We'd be like, oh yeah, Gateway, new track, New Hampshire, okay. Road course, sign me up.
2021 is the best schedule I think I've ever seen as a NASCAR fan because it all fits so well with the car and because they were able to really start rolling back the 550. It all sort of came together. And then it's just that that's how it goes in NASCAR. Everything comes together and then keeps moving different directions, and it's always constantly changing. But man, you get the Gen 6 car. I'm sorry, I'm like getting nauseous now, man. Just thinking about like how boring the end of this year could be coming up next season.
Ross Crash Stain in the chat is trying to schedule a single day Coda doubleheader between F1 and NASCAR. Yeah, that would be. Do you guys think? Let's put that question out there. Do you think we'll ever see NASCAR and F1 not even the same day, but the same weekend share a track, like run a doubleheader?
Never
in our lifetime. You don't think they ever?
You could never get the executives of F1 to be okay with that because honestly, they'd probably think even just being around NASCAR executives would seem like redneck and above them.
I'm just saying things can change a lot in 30 years. Let's say like my history is not as great as y'all's or many others, but like could you have seen 30 years ago NASCAR and IndyCar having a doubleheader at Indianapolis of all places?
The day that NASCAR and F1 will work together is the day that the WWE and the AEW will work together. It's just not happening.
I think the way it is right now is, and I think it's going to be this way a long time, as long as there's an American market to be gained for F1, is they're not in the industry of helping people out. They're in the industry of they're in the empire business, to quote Walter White here. Like
I'm just saying,
they
so
would rather
my
kill NASCAR.
No other racing exists other than F1 today.
I know we're so off topic, but it was just a hypothetical. A lot can change. We're already seeing F1's popularity in America potentially plateau. And if NASCAR truly ends up on the rise, maybe at some point F1's like, yeah, we got to crack this American audience again. NASCAR might be our entry point. I'm just suggesting. I'm just saying a lot can change.
I would love to see it.
Hopefully, God forbid, what am I trying to say? Hopefully, the three of us all live very long, prosperous lives. And sometime during those many decades, who knows? What if it happens? That's all I was suggesting.
I would love to see it happen. I'll say that. I would love to see the mix of crowds on that one. Like, there's
that would be super weird.
There's no way that you could have F1 prices for that weekend with the NASCAR crowd, because I think that there would be that demand. I think the big problem we saw with it is we saw it with IndyCar and NASCAR. As much as I want motorsports to be more cohesive with each other, NASCAR fans are going to watch NASCAR. IndyCar fans are going to watch IndyCar. F1, dirt. They're mostly a lot of fans like to stay in their favorite lane. And there's some crossover.
I mean, I'm guilty of that.
Yeah. I mean, I tried with F1. It didn't work with me. I'll try with IndyCar. Outside the Indy 500, I might catch 4 or 5 races a year because I'm a NASCAR fan. And yes,
that's
I can have multiple screens.
I tune into the Indy 500 and I'll tune into Nashville because it's Nashville.
But even then, like for me, I mean, like I thought maybe maybe I'll go to Nashville, but if it's during the Cup race and I am a NASCAR fan, I'm someone that covers NASCAR, I'm not going to take my attention away. I think the only way I could probably put an IndyCar race over a NASCAR race nowadays is for my own selfish needs of like having Chicagoland come back. If IndyCar went to Chicagoland next year and it was like the same week as like I don't know, New Hampshire, let's just say, yeah, I'd probably go to the IndyCar race and then just sort of have the NASCAR race on my phone. Like that's the only way I could really justify it to myself. Just because I am much more interested in NASCAR. It's not a diss at any other motorsport. And of course, I see people motor racing's motor racing. And I get that, and I respect it. It's just I have a preference, and I think that a lot of people.
It is crazy how many different avenues of motorsports there is, and I applaud anyone who has time to keep up with everything, and I mean everything from the short track scene, the dirt track scene, drag racing, IndyCar, F1, all the various developmental open wheel racing. If you're actually able to keep up with it all, I really applaud you. You are a way bigger race fan than I am.
Findlay in the chat makes a good point. The day they took Speed Channel away, the lanes did get more defined. I think
that is true.
Right. It did get harder.
You had to kind of pick one and go into the one you want.
Yeah, it's hard to find a good platform that truly covers all major motorsports equally or even accurately.
Then we know this from being YouTube creators, like YouTube's algorithm would make that kind of hard to cover outside of one avenue of motorsport.
That's
because
the thing. Yeah.
Because it won't, like the algorithm recognizes key terms, and it's not going to push someone who wants to do all avenues of it. And sadly, this is why a NASCAR channel can't focus too much on stuff like even the truck series or ARCA, smaller series, because when it hears NASCAR, it wants to push out more Cup Series, history, Cup Series, topics, Cup Series, to news today, whatever. This is what's weird about the new age we're in. That's like you have to pick a niche within a niche.
Well, it's like also, it's like in my experience, it took me years to get people to watch stuff that I post about Xfinity and truck, and I knew going in it was a short-term loss for a long-term gain kind of deal. And there's a reason, like you see, like guys like David who will cover multiple motorsports. He's primarily IndyCar, and then he covers other ones. And I give him credit, man, because he keeps up on it well, and he keeps up on multiple series way better than I'd be able to. But when you lose Speed Channel, you lose Dave Despain being that kind of center crux of all motorsports. And it's really hard with the way that it is now in general. I mean, you and this isn't just a NASCAR or motorsport thing. This is a culture thing in general. Look at all the streaming services now that have X, Y, or Z thing. You have to pick and choose and stream hop and different things like that. And and different services, different channels, different avenues to find things, paywalls, all that. I mean, hell, that news that I talked about with the Chicago street course and the city, like, I found the headline, I found people's screenshots because I had looked at the 3 Chicago Tribune articles I could look at in the last 365 days before they wanted me to pay to do it. Sorry, I'm not paying for a damn Chicago newspaper to see news about one thing once a year about NASCAR. Like, and that's the big problem with it. So I know we went way off track with that, but it is I think a really good conversation piece when it comes to interest in general with all of these different motorsports. I'll watch different motorsports if they're on, but it's more just like I have preference, and a lot of people
and they do. Yeah. I will push back on one thing. Some folks in the chat said they do all have different cultures and different audiences. Like to say motor racing is motor racing. From a purity standpoint, sure, but watch a NASCAR race on Fox and then watch an F1 race at Monaco, they're not the same.
And then
thing.
watch NHRA right after that, and then watch an IndyCar race.
They will all feel completely
tune into
different.
the dirt track scene. The dirt track scene is an entirely different animal, and most of them hate NASCAR.
But it's awesome, man. It is so awesome.
They all have their charm, but that's why it's like people who are fans of all of it. I mean, I guess I was going to say like credit to you, but it's just preference. But it's hard to like all motorsports because they are very different.
And this is why I think that though comparing motorsports to other motorsports definitely is better than like motorsports to stick and ball sports, because I think the differences in motorsports are similar to the differences in stick and ball sports to each of them. Like NFL and NBA, you can compare more evenly the way that you compare NASCAR and IndyCar. And I think it's just, I think it's interesting because there is kind of like you said, Danny, it's a niche culture and a niche culture. Motorsport fans, doesn't matter how big the series is, it will always be a niche culture compared to stick and ball sports. Like you have your F1 that's worldwide. You have soccer. I'm an American, damn it.
That's what's crazy. Like I can tune in, like just take college football, for example. I can tune in to one channel who's going to talk about college football, but I will listen to Josh Pate with Late Kick talk about all of it. I'm mainly interested in SEC stuff, but he's going to talk about all the other conferences, and it's not going to get shoved out of the way and think it's an entirely other subject like it will for motorsports. That's what's interesting.
All right. I think we covered the bases. I think
our conversations get really, really random. And on that note, to say think about random, it's a shame the chat won't like enough that we're not going to get to do the random driver segment this week.
It doesn't look like it.
Only 50 to go.
Is my guilt trip working? Am I gaslighting enough?
Gaslight harder, damn it. No. But I think we do have a segment we have to do, though, right now. It is our prediction segment. So, God, I don't know why. I'm starting to catch the Rick Allen, Steve Letarte
virus.
Which is that's probably good for you guys. I'll be able to shut up for once this weekend. So for our predictions here, each host will make up to 3 NASCAR, motorsports, or show-related predictions. We will keep track each week. Right or wrong predictions, doesn't matter. We'll keep track. Keep our predictions concise within 2 to 3 years of said prediction. And let's roll into our accountability session here, starting with me. Bit of a hit or miss one, but Eric, thank you so much. You gave me a correct prediction this week. I said Eric would cuss on air by the end of this week's prediction segment, and he did, I think, literally 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
Thank you. Man, remember when it was me that had the problem with that? I'm just joking.
They're called sentence enhancers, Jared.
Ooh, sentence enhancers. Good callback. I also said New Hampshire race would have 8 or fewer cautions, had 14, so yikes. And you know what? Batting 500 is good every week, and you would think that I would be expanding my lead with this, but Eric every week seems to be batting 1,000. He said Christopher Bell would finish on the podium in both New Hampshire races.
Nice.
Good pick there. And Danny didn't have anything come off the board this week.
No, playing it safe once again.
Better than last week. So as for our prediction percentages as we are now, it is Eric who has taken the lead by a slim margin at 38.64% to my 38.24%, and Danny at 25%, just holding steady for now. So Eric, you're going to lead us off this week. What is your first prediction?
Ooh, which should I go with first? I don't know. This might be a tough one to quantify, so I guess I'll make it simple. either on TV or let's just say on social media, somewhere on social media, either NBC or NASCAR or Nashville Super Speedway, or someone will report this weekend that one of the races were run under record high temperatures. Does that make sense?
Okay.
I've looked at the weather. It's like 94 is the high on Saturday. Okay. So my point is either the Truck Xfinity Cup race will be the hottest on record in Nashville Super Speedway history, and someone's going to tweet about it. Like an official source is going to tweet about it or post about it. That's my prediction.
The Cup one will be easier because this is only like the fourth race there in Cup.
I guess that's true.
But that first year was hot.
But I know Sunday didn't look quite as hot. It's Friday and Saturday that looked toasty.
Yeah. All right, I'm next here. So I am going to say this. Sheldon Creed will not win a race in 2024. This dude is destined to lose. Like he finds a way to lose.
Give you a point.
There's a long way to go. We're halfway through the season right now, as of this week. But before the season, I thought he was going to be winning left and right. And it just has not come together. He's gotten better. Don't get me wrong. He's running top 5 way more often and competing for wins still. But my God, man, he just finds ways to lose.
All right. For me, this is going to contradict one of my ones from last week, or it could potentially contradict. Ross Chastain will win a guitar this weekend at either Nashville racetracks, not necessarily just Nashville Super Speedway.
That's good.
That's a good one. Good tie-in. Good job.
That's very good. I like that. It's hedging your bets a little bit.
My second prediction, I saw some in the chat saying that I've been hard on this guy in the past, and maybe I have. I think we all have a little bit. I think most of it's been fair, but I'm going to throw him a bone. I think Riley Herbst will score a top 25 on Sunday.
For his sake, I hope so.
I don't think I realized he was in the race this weekend for Nashville.
We mentioned it 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Missed that one.
I'm going to go back to the Battle of Broadway 150 as well. I'm going to say that Josh Berry and Ross Chastain will finish 1-2. Doesn't matter which order. They'll finish 1-2 tomorrow night.
Oh, all right.
All right. I wrote this before he dropped out of the call, but it's technically not starting until I say it right now.
Oh, no.
Eric's internet will stay strong enough for him to finish this show or at least not drop out of the Zoom call.
That's funny. We got probably another 20, 30 minutes, so anything can happen.
So if it stutters out or freezes, what's that make it then, Danny?
Do I have to drop out of the call?
I said for him to finish the show or at least not drop out of the Zoom call.
Okay.
And then my last one.
Yes.
This is going to be sort of a transition to one of our final segments, but I think Toyota sweeps the weekend. I feel good about a couple of drivers in particular, so I figured why not go all in and just say 3 Toyotas.
Dang, I'm interested what Toyota driver you picked for Xfinity.
I already kind of know. I looked at the entry list.
There's a couple to choose from. There's a few good ones to pick from.
By the way, as we go into the rest of this, we're 18 likes away from the like goal. So time's a ticking, y'all. Time's a ticking.
Y'all want it or not? I don't want to gaslight no more.
When it comes to my final prediction, I'll say this. I think by the 2025 race there, and this by the green flag, NASCAR and ISC will announce a Homestead Miami Speedway renovation by then. By the time they go green. I really think that's going to happen. I don't see a reason to move it out of the playoffs unless you do that. I don't see a good reason of doing so. That's just me though. Maybe I'm hoping too much.
My final one, Riley Herbst will remain in the Xfinity Series for 2025.
Ooh. So, like,
all right.
Does he, off the record, so, like, not counting into the prediction, where do you think he goes? Do you think he stays? Do you think he goes?
I don't know if the 2311 thing is going to happen. I think he'd be smart to at least take over one of the 4 JGR cars as another full-time entry again of Monster. He brings funding, and now he's a winner. I say he should just go be with them again.
What if he took the 9 car? If Brandon Jones, yes, he brings sponsorship as a paid driver, but he doesn't bring results. Riley Herbst.
I'd be interesting. Brandon Jones, take the Menards money back to JGR. Someone take your money back there to JGR.
Money's good anywhere.
Money. Speaking of money, right now the chat is 5 likes away from the like goal. So
4 on my end.
What did that have to do with money?
It's just you're doing well, paying their debt. Right. Probably at least in the chat, what Calypso will say I need to pay with that reading those novels. Which
Jarrett gets paid 5 cents per like.
Oh, that'd be big if true,
dude. Oh my god, that happened. I'd be begging. I'd be begging for likes,
dude. Imagine if YouTube monetization. If YouTube monetization was you got paid for likes, it would be wacko.
Hey, look! Somehow I got 10,000 likes on this video, Jarrett. There's 5 views. Don't ask. It just happened. Yeah, we got it. 500.
Let's
likes.
Do it. Let's run it. Mystery driver. I'm on a streak.
Yes. So we have our segment, our random driver of the week, where I shell out all of these different clues to these guys, and they got to try and guess the driver. Get three guesses. If you guess it wrong each time, up to 3, then you're out. The other person has to try and guess. I can win. And the last couple weeks, like Eric said, he's been on a roll. He got the last 2 weeks of Ron Keselowski and Mike Skinner. And the 2 weeks
Ron Keselowski didn't count, but let's be honest.
You got it with like thing by thing Ronald McDonald and Keselowski.
The 2 weeks before were Danny getting Bobby Gerhart and Neil Bonnet. And the week
Neil Bonnet didn't feel like it should have counted for me.
And the week before that, David got Marty Robbins. So chat gone on your end?
Yep, I'm not looking. Yep. It's gone. It's down.
All right. I got 34 clues for you guys this week.
That's a hint. It's David Rigg.
That's a lot of clues.
It's Michael McDowell. All right. You ready?
Yep.
All right, let's get it going. This random driver dropped out of high school. So, did not finish high school.
Fair amount of guys did that.
Stay in school, kids. Unless you're going to be a famous NASCAR driver.
And that doesn't mean this guy was necessarily famous.
This random driver, after dropping out of high school, ended up working at a local Pizza Hut, not racing immediately.
Okay.
So, did not work out that well.
Mm-hmm.
This random driver publicly declined an offer to race in the SRX.
Oh. It's an older guy, probably. Or girl. Probably a guy.
I don't remember anyone publicly declining, though. That's the thing.
Well,
yeah. Maybe it just came up in maybe it just came up in an interview or something, and they said, like, oh, yeah, I could turn it down because I had this. I don't know.
This random driver is personal friends with Bill Dant.
With who?
Bill Dant.
Bill Dant.
Okay.
Famous fisherman from Tennessee.
This random driver had a gardening blog. So into gardening.
That's random.
That actually sounds kind of familiar for some reason. Like maybe I accidentally stumbled upon that one day.
Fits the segment. Fits the random segment. This random driver won one of the most tragic and solemn stock car races of the early 2000s. This random driver spent the early years of his life up to his teens with a different last name than the one he is known as now.
Wait, he spent what?
Up his early years all the way up through his teens, he had a different last name than the last name he has now.
A maiden name. Has the chat gotten it yet?
Oh, yeah, they nailed it.
Oh, my God.
This random driver's daughter participates in rodeos and actually performs quite well.
I know it. It's Carrie Earnhardt.
Damn, Danny. That's
good.
Oh,
wow. I don't know. How'd you know that? You knew the rodeo?
I know what gave it away. What gave it away was a scene in the movie 3, the one ESPN made, where because he didn't go by Earnhardt for a long time. Didn't know that was his dad for a long time. And
Oh,
then he
wow.
come up and he said like so what you doing now? I'm working down at the Pizza Hut. He says that in the movie.
I've never seen that movie in full. On all
You don't
honesty,
need to. It has good scenes, but it's all in all not a good
I've seen a few
movie.
clips from it, but I've never seen it.
It's
The full
well
movie's
known
like,
for the unneeded Dale and Teresa sex scene.
is that the one where isn't the full movie on YouTube somewhere?
Yeah.
It is on YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen some clips from it.
I'll roll through a couple of these other interesting facts though.
Yeah, if you had a couple more fun facts, well played, Danny. Man,
good job.
Yeah, that's why I'm leading this.
You were tied going in. It's still a close race. He finished sixth or better in 8 of his 11 ARCA starts, so really good on that side of it. Only ran one full Xfinity season, finished 22nd in points. Ran for ThorSport in trucks.
Gary Earnhardt turned down an SRX seat.
Yeah,
on
Twitter was asked about it.
I'm not surprised. Like, I'm interested that he was asked. I wonder how far that got.
Not very. We got to think the Uries were involved, so. He DNF from 24% of his Xfinity starts.
Austin Dillon would be proud. No,
I learned not a fan of Bubba Wallace, I'll say that. Let's see. Was never tweeted about by Eric or I, but Danny's tweeted about him multiple times.
Oh, big fan.
Yeah, that doesn't shock me.
Was actually a consultant in DEI's driver development program through 2011. So
yes, you start mentioning DEI, and I think we might have had a shot at. At least that's when I would have come in and had maybe had a guess.
Here's the one that I think a lot of people would have been like, "What about?" Is his final professional racing start was in 2009. Any guesses on who he drove for?
JD Motorsports.
It was a very random team. I remember that because Junior was also in that race.
Rick Ware Racing.
His
last race was a Rick Ware Racing. Actually, this was the one where I was going to have the numbers, by the way, for clues. Do you want to hear all the numbers that he rattled through in 8 years?
He ran a bunch.
I imagine it was a lot.
04, 2, 7, 8, 12, 13, 15, 31, 33, 37, 40, 48, 71, 74, 76, 83, 98, and 99. He was in a lot of different rides. Let's see. And the other big one is that his episode that he was on for Dale Jr. Download actually charted as high as 4th in America for podcasts, right above Bussin' with the Boys. So
wow.
It was a big episode. It was. I re-listened to that earlier this week to get facts for this episode. So yeah. Carrie Earnhardt, good job, Danny.
Had 34 things, and what number did I get it on?
8. Fitting. You got it on
Very
8.
fitting.
Especially since that was his first number.
I think I knew it by number 7, but I wouldn't let you say the 8th one. But I was like, I need to go now.
I like it though. The aggression. That's the strategy at this point.
I eliminated all the Kozlowski family last week, so I was like, I need to go now. I know this one.
Part of me damn near went and just said, screw it. I'll do Bob Kozlowski and see how much I can mess with their heads. But I was like, no, I got to save that one. All right, let's get on into the weekend at Nashville. A couple notes here. First off, Clint Bowyer is going to be back in the truck race, so that'll be fun. He'll be in that 7 truck, I should say. Joseph Newgarden will be the honorary race official on Sunday, according to the Nashville Superspeedway. Luke Combs will be driving the pace car. Too bad we couldn't have had him for the pre-race concert.
Who's doing the pre-race concert? Is it Tim Duggar and friends? Yeah, okay.
I was about to say, take a guess.
I'm sorry, but when I look at the guys, I think that Tim Duggar and Luke Combs look like they could. Like, if you didn't know country music, you probably couldn't tell them apart. But like hearing them sing, it's probably way different.
Yeah. As for the racing this weekend, let's start from the truck race here, the Rackley Roofing 200. 150 laps, 45, 50, 55 are the stages, 8 p.m. Eastern Time start time. Fox Sports 2 unfortunately, is where you're going to have to watch it on TV this week in the Fox Sports app, MRN, and Sirius XM covering it on the radio. Fridays, the heat of the day is going to be up to 90. It's going to cool off as the night goes and should be around 75 degrees around the checkered flag. Defending winner of this race, Carson Hocevar. As for the Xfinity race, the Tennessee Lottery 250 is 188 laps, 45, 45, 98 is the breakdown. 5 p.m. Eastern Time, start time on USA and the NBC Sports app, PRN, and Sirius XM. I almost said SRX again. We'll be covering it on the radio side. Saturday is going to be 93 degrees. It's going to be intervals of cloud and sun all day long, back and forth. So maybe an ever-changing track. 22% chance of rain, though thunderstorms are more possible in the evening. AJ Allmendinger won this race last year. And then you have the Cup race, the Ally 400, which is 300 laps, 90, 95, 115 are the breakdown on that one. 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Start on Big NBC and NBC Sports app. You got PRN covering the radio side, 91 degrees on Sunday. Should be some pop-up thunderstorms according to the forecast. 38% chance of rain overall for the day, but very high from about 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. local time, so about 2 p.m. Eastern Time to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Ross Chastain is your defending winner for this race. And guys, we had a bit, I won't say of a shakeup. I think we had like a what could have been for the pick points this week. Popping them up right now. The chat's still leading at 290. I have cut the lead down to 18. I'm back in second. First loser. Danny is 23 back as we run, and Eric 28 off the pace. So we're still within 1 weekend's worth of points away. And Eric, since you are still in the basement at the moment, you lead us off. Who's going to win the truck race?
I've been in the basement all year. I think there was 1 week where I snuck into third briefly, and it was beautiful, and I felt out of place because I usually pick first. If Blaney doesn't get dumped by McDowell with 5 to go or whatever it was, I would have probably at least been maybe 20, 25 back. I would have gained a few more points because I got the Xfinity win. Anyway, I'm just rambling. I'm ranting and raving over here. I spoiled this earlier, but I think Toyota's going to sweep the weekend. I feel more confident in my Cup and Xfinity picks, but why not? I'll throw Corey Heim in for good measure as my truck pick because when in doubt, it's Heim time.
Yeah, it's always Heim time.
I had Heim as my second one, so I'll go with my number one. I think he's in for a Tennessee sweep, and Christian Eckes will win at Nashville this weekend.
Damn. That was my second pick. Alrighty. Well, that leaves me.
It looks like the chat was heading that direction.
Yeah, and I'm going to disagree with their pick, at least from what it looks like they're going now. I'm going to go Nick Sanchez on this one. He was strong here last year.
I like it.
And I think he'll be pretty good in this race as well. And I have a feeling the chat's going Boyer.
Chat is going
They're going that hot rod.
That rod's going to be hot, all right.
Oh, that could be taken so badly out of context. But Boyer's
they're hoping he'll hawk to it and get that thing up to speed.
Thing. I'd pay money for somebody to do that meme this weekend. Just freaking own it.
If anyone was going to do it, it'd be Clint Boyer.
All right, Eric, who's going to win the Xfinity race?
There's a lot of good Toyotas to pick from. A couple of Cup guys dipping their feet back into the Xfinity series. But I'm going to go with Ty Gibbs. Yeah, we saw him lose his head at Sonoma, but I think a traditional oval be a little more straightforward. I think Ty Gibbs wins it.
I'm going with one of the regulars, and I'm going with Justin Allgaier for this one.
That's a good pick. Didn't he dominate 2 years ago here?
2 years ago, I kind of forgot AJ Allmendinger won last year.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that too.
It's so forgettable of a win.
Yeah, what?
I'm going to go with the guy who's been very, very consistent. Top 5, I think, in every start he's had here. He's even better overall this year. The winningest, I believe, Xfinity regular in the last year or two. And I think he's going to party hard for his 21st. I'm going Sam Mayer. I
like it. Go big.
I think he's going to be really good this weekend.
And the chat is going with Cole Custer, it looks like.
I see a lot of 20s, though. John Hunter Nemechek. Should I do a poll?
Maybe.
I'm seeing a lot more 00. I think I am the 20, honestly.
I am seeing more 00s now. I think it definitely is leaning 00.
Yeah, now it is. All right. I'm not able to like keep track of it all with everything else, so you guys keep me honest here. All right, let's go Cole Custer. All right, who's going to suck, Eric?
I am thinking I don't want to pick the low-hanging fruit and go Kyle Busch because I do think they'll eventually turn things around. You can take Kyle Busch. I would say I'm gonna go Bubba. I don't know. I'm not feeling good.
Danny?
I think Blaney's my one for this one. I know he had an unfortunate run into the wall last year, but I still think this could not be a good weekend.
I'm gonna go Kyle Busch. Maybe we'll go like 4 in a row for 35th place finishes.
My thing was, didn't Kyle? I compare Nashville to Dover because they're both concrete, both have some banking. Didn't Busch run top 10 or top 5 there? I think I looked this up earlier. He had a decent run,
but he's been dreadful at Nashville.
Yeah, so I don't hate that pick. I'm like a little skittish on Busch because I feel like if they don't F up, he'll have a top 10 car.
I know looks like chat's going with Dylan. So
fair enough.
Dark horse time.
Am I allowed to say Ross Chastain? He's in the playoffs, but he hasn't won a race this year. He's obviously the defending winner. I say dark horse. Like I think he's going to be top 3, top 4. Think about some of the last intermediates we went to. I know it's not a concrete track, but like Kansas, he was really good that opening stage, led some laps, was in contention, fell off towards the end. I don't think they'll fall off this time. Home race, getting some laps at the fairgrounds. Chastain will be top 5 for sure.
For me, my dark horse. Well, I made a prediction he'd get a top 5 a couple weeks ago, or top 10. I don't remember what I said. I'm going to say Alex Bowman. He's got a good-looking car, and he needs to bounce back. So put him as my underdog.
I think I'll stick with the hot hand right now. I'll go Josh Berry. I think that could be a top 10 run this weekend. A little too late, I think, for a playoff push, points wise, but definitely a pretty good team as they're running. And it looks like Carson Hocevar is the chat's dark horse pick. So there you go. So now, who is gonna win this week at Nashville?
I just compared Nashville to Dover. Denny Hamlin won Dover. He's had a tough few weeks here, but he did win a stage in the dry at New Hampshire, so the speed and performance is still there. I think Denny Hamlin wins at Nashville.
My pick, you can keep him as your underdog all you want, but he has the best average finish of any Cup Series driver in the first 3 races at Nashville Superspeedway. And even though it's going to contradict the prediction, I got to go with Ross Chastain.
Oh, boy. That leaves me with a decision here. I think I'm going to go with another Toyota. He's burned me before, but I'll give him one more shot. I'm going to go MTJ on this one.
Ooh.
He's been good. He led a lot of laps.
He had a top 2 car. He was probably first or second best car in the dry at New Hampshire.
I'll let you. It looks like the chat's picking Larson on this one. So
yeah, I feel like this is like they often end up with Larson as like their consolation prize, and it's like it always works for him.
But for me, it was a tough decision. Actually, it wasn't Larson. It was a Hendrick guy. It was a tough decision between Truex and him. It was Elliott. Chase Elliott is really, really good at this track. I mean, even in his bad years, he's finishing top 5 here.
But Larson dominated Nashville. Was it in 22 or 21?
That was the Gen 6 era.
It was still the Gen 6. Okay. Yeah.
For me, Truex has been so damn fast here, especially last year, man. He dominated this thing. And this year we're not going to have that changing from light to darkness, and he was so damn good in the daylight hours. I got to go with him.
That's a good point, actually. Okay.
Now, if it gets rained out, I'm screwed.
Yeah, there's a delay. Yeah, but Monday Martin.
Well, yeah. All righty. Well, that covers it for our Nashville preview. Really quick, before we get into the final super chat stage break, before we end this baby off tonight, I do want to bring up one more time. Next week, we'll be on Eric's channel. It's a Tuesday, July 2nd. Let everyone enjoy their 4th of July. day leading up, because I know that's a big party day too. And in the future, we'll have our guests. I'm sorry, I had to use that picture of John. He'll be on July 10th, and David Land will be on July 17th. All right. And then you got Eric doing his cosplay.
Uh-huh. Oh, Danny looks angrier. Your team won, Danny. You're supposed to be happy.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, there you go.
Danny looks like a screaming AI photo when he did that.
He looked like the famous Scream painting from whoever did that. I don't know, Salvador Dali or somebody.
Alrighty, let's before we get too philosophical and everything in here, let's go and look at the final super chat stage break. CBB with the 10 here. I'd like to see the Barry Childers show go to Rick Ware Racing's ride for next year. Barry and Haley is a good lineup for Rick Ware Racing, and besides that, the only ride Cody Ware deserves is not at the track. We'll leave it at that. I don't want to get...
Oh, man.
For legal reasons, let's keep that chill. NRF 8 for the 33-month member chat here saying, I was hoping for Chase Capri that he got the 19 ride. Oh, well.
Tough.
Ben Lewis for the 5. The chat calling for Alex Bowman's job in the 48 is getting ridiculous. I agree. I agree. I need to take down the like goal here since we hit it. Good job, chat. Hunter Nixon fishing for the 5. RCR is a joke. Hot take. If not for Dale Earnhardt and Kevin Harvick, he wouldn't even still be an owner. I do feel bad for Kyle Busch. Well, Kyle Busch made his own bet, in my opinion, so I don't feel that bad for him. I don't know if you guys saw, his fans got really mad at me for pointing out the obvious this past week.
I didn't see. What'd you point out? I
had pointed out where he was a year ago compared to today, and he was having a really bad day. And this dude goes, all you junior fans are pathetic. You've been waiting for this. And I'm like, and I just put LOL, right, your tears fuel me. I'm not against Kyle Busch doing well. I literally said last year I liked seeing him do well, and it's funny as hell. It was someone who followed me too, so I'm like, dude, you've seen me praise Kyle Busch before, but whatever,
Do you remember you picking him to win 6 races last year?
Nah, it's probably selective. It's selective, but it's funny as hell, man. But at the same time, like I said, Kyle Busch made his bed. He chose to leave, to not take a lesser deal, not stay with JGR and go over to RCR. That he made the decision, man. I can't feel too bad for him. Bobby Blair for the 5. Austin Dillon needs to move up to a competition director role at RCR, maybe run part-time Xfinity. I feel that AD could help RCR be better. I do think that when that time comes, he's the one that brought Kyle Busch in. I do think RCR will probably improve in some way. Just probably can't happen soon enough. Since the end of the show, do you see that I think I sent it in our chat, that graphic that showed that RCR only surges up and does better during Republican presidencies?
I did. Somebody compiled those stats and was trying and actually found some correlation, which was remarkable.
It's funny. It's funny as hell, but
try not to get too political. Oddly enough, their worst year was with President Trump.
So the streak died in 2016, 2020, I guess.
Funding was going towards donations, no NRC.
Yeah.
Ross Crash staying here for the 2. Bowman's Enja Hawk Tuad. Dude, it was
then some.
And then some.
Oh man, SW for the 5 here. I don't blame Bubba. He's frustrated and he stopped at Noah's pit showing displeasure. He can't catch a break. Yeah, I really don't see anything too wrong with that. He didn't go anywhere close to the pit crew guys.
No,
I don't see a
at least kept it out of the box at least, which is
he didn't pull a Kurt Busch.
No. He didn't start. He didn't make any contact. Didn't even get that close. It was borderline because that's a sensitive area, but I didn't think he crossed it.
Kurt on the competition meeting on Monday is like, hey, good job not hitting the crew guy. I almost made that mistake in 2007. Dad here, I like saying it that way, for the 2-month member chat. Rick Allen sounded like when Vince Welch was sick. Yeah. Tony for the 2 says, do you think Allgaier could ever make it back to Cup? I don't think he'll ever choose to, unless he has to come in as a fill-in role like he did in the 600.
How old is he now? How close is he to 40? He is 38. Yeah, I just think he's had a great career. I think it's going to ride out about how it's been.
Yeah. Hunter Nixon fishing for the 5. Subway cookies are so underrated. I'll die on that hill.
There you go, Jared. Or who was it? Was it Danny? You were speaking facts.
Yep.
I'll say Firehouse ones are pretty good too. Spencer, thank you for the 36-month. Wow, the 3-year member chat here.
That's crazy.
Whoa.
Awesome.
We're halfway there. Oh, living on a prayer. Yeah. I use that for my Instagram story promoting the stream.
Fun fact about that song, that's the only song on Guitar Hero I was ever able to do 100% perfect on expert mode.
Oh,
so that has a special place in my heart.
I couldn't get past Mississippi Queen. I was not good. My dad, like, who's played the bass since as long as I can, like, since before I was born and well before I was born, he picked up Guitar Hero once, and he's just like, this is not real. Like, this is stupid. Like, screw this. And then he went and just started playing the bass for like 3 hours in his room.
In a rage.
I don't blame him, man. Like, he spent all this time like learning this real good talent, and then he just got a bunch of kids. I can play bass too. Mashes buttons. Bake the Snake for the 5 years said heading to Bristol in September for the first time. Anyone else? More than likely not me, but we'll see.
Yeah, fun though. Stay cool out there, but it'll be a good time. There's no bad seat in the house, like they all say.
Hell, it could be like have you noticed a growing trend, by the way? And I think it started a few years ago at Bristol, is like almost every other race now has people hanging on the fence or like climbing up the fence. So remember that
pushing it.
Remember that caution at Charlotte where like, why the hell are they not going green? And why'd Fox say that they turned the lights off twice? It's because a dude climbed up in turn 4 on the fence and was trying to watch the cars go underneath him on the restart, and they had to wave it off to get the guy off the fence. That's why.
I did see that. I saw that post. That's crazy.
Which sports?
What are we doing?
I mean, this goes with NFL, NASCAR, everyone in general. I know it's pretty much a blanket thing that they don't show that stuff. It's kind of like streakers. You just don't put a camera on them for attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Napa Racing Fan for the 7-month member chat. Repave Loudon. Inside bad on restarts and long runs. I don't mess with old tracks. Don't mess with old tracks. Fred Dog for the 5 says Eric's internet is a huge Riley Herbst fan and is tired of the bashing by Eric. You apparently bash Riley Herbst.
I mean, I've been critical. I would say I've definitely been critical.
like, come on, we all have. Video game sports for the 10. 2011 is the best full year of NASCAR racing this century. Amazing 500, incredible Aaron's 499, great finishes like Fontana with Harvick's last lap pass, and so many first-time winners changed my mind. I think, personally, of any I've seen, I think it's my favorite.
Did he say 2011?
2011.
Yeah, 2011 did have a lot of standout moments.
All 3 series, too. I mean,
it kind of got me back. Like I said, there was a couple of years, 2009, 2010, I didn't watch much. And then 2011, I got roped back in for the long haul.
I mean, when like just looking back on it and how it felt at the time, 2011 almost felt like one of those boom years, like back like that early 2000s, back in the boom period. Like that's how 2011 feels for me, like and felt at the time. Yeah. I agree. NASCARson for the 5. NWP guys, all of you have fun at the Nashville race and stay hydrated. Anybody in the chat going? I was there in 2021 for the inaugural hot weekend.
It was toasty. It's usually pretty toasty or wet. Hopefully it's not both.
I'm planning to be there Friday night, Sunday. I will not be there Saturday for the hottest day of the weekend.
I will.
Smart man.
I'm leaning towards being there Saturday, probably not Friday, for sure Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday I'll be there, and part of Friday I might get there late or early or sometime. The
problem for me is that I have to be on the road Monday morning at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., give or take, and I can't stay for I can't stay for a long rain delay. Like if this race like ends at 1 a.m, like I unfortunately will probably be doing my post-race stream here and then going to sleep. I'll probably sleep through the entire rain delay and just be like, Danny, Eric, what if you call me when they go back racing? Oh, that's gonna be wonderful. Wonderful drive back. And I'll be able to see a bunch of people up north, family I haven't seen in a while. Alex for the 2. Not NASCAR, but Anything more on John Force? That's right. He had a horrific crash this past weekend. Last I saw is that he's still being held in the hospital, but stable.
That's right. I think that's the last I saw. Was there anything? Was it this morning they had an update, I think, or was it last night? I think that's the last I saw.
I think it was this morning from what I saw. I'm glad he's stable, though, because John Force is awesome.
No, it was a scary incident. Just instant.
Well, and the way it crumpled up and hit the wall. I mean, they're going so damn fast. You can say all you want of all the different things you can implement. Car going that fast will crunch, and that's the unfortunate truth about it. James, thank you for the 5. Homestead is hosting Formula E next year, utilizing both road course parts and oval. They sound weird, but got decent racing sometimes. They do sound weird, but I've heard it's gotten much better. Fred Dog for the 5 here. Imagine you're a driver, you get a win at Nashville, and you get the guitar, which works perfectly. What song are you playing in Victory Lane?
Living on a Prayer. I don't know. I don't know that many songs.
I mean, okay, let's just say again, you know the guitar fine. This hypothetical is completely in fantasy.
Let's say I'm Jimi Hendrix. I can play anything instantly.
Go for it. What's your guys' picks?
Thunderstruck.
Welcome to the Jungle.
I'm gonna mess with every Gen Xer here and just play the first notes of Stairway to Heaven. No stairway.
That Welcome to the Jungle.
If I want to impress, I think I'd do like Afterlife by Avenged Sevenfold, or just like something with Dream Theater. Just start shredding it.
Just some like really heavy breakdown with no drums. It sounds so pathetic.
Yeah, but the thing is that as much as I have tried, I am no bueno at the guitar. I have one, but I'm not good at it. Robbie, thank you for the 2. How do we feel about Iowa being a playoff race? I would say not right now.
No.
Down the line, if it's like a really good track, really successful, maybe. But same thing with Watkins Glen. Don't mess with something that works. And if it ends up working, don't mess with it.
Yep.
A Sky 20 for the 20. Congrats, Bell. I was in Nashville last weekend. Great time. Capped off as backstage guest at the Opry. Wow. Stopped at Lionel too. Bought Chastain's Nashville and Buscher's Daytona diecasts. Told them I heard it from y'all. Awesome. That's awesome.
That's very cool.
Well, me and Danny, we were at the grand opening, the big public opening for it.
Yep, we were.
That was pretty cool. Bake the Snake for the 5. RFK going to pull the biggest sleeper move on the season and pull a 1-2 finish out of nowhere this weekend. Buscher taking the win because he needs it. And Martin
I looked up his average finish at Nashville Superspeedway. The stats don't suggest that. He's like the 36th on the list for average finish at Nashville.
I'm looking this up. How bad is it?
Well, while you do that, I'm going to read the next one here. M. Martin fan for life for the 5. RCR needs to completely reset in the shop. Hopefully, they can get some new blood from Stuart Haas and build back up.
Buscher's finished 36th, 30th, and 18th at Nashville Superspeedway.
Damn. Fred Dog 81 for the 2 says, LOL, Jared's dad is Randy Marsh on Guitar Hero. You'd appreciate that. Mustang 2006 for the 5. Hey guys, one of my bucket list items is to go to my first race. Any recommendations? You can never, ever go wrong with Bristol.
Bristol night race for sure.
Yeah, Bristol night race would be a good one.
Depends on where you live. Because Daytona also, I feel like for a casual, if you're in, I don't know if you're going with people who maybe aren't big NASCAR fans, like Daytona is easy for anyone to wrap their heads around.
That's true. Yeah,
I took risks. Her first race was that 2020 cutoff race, and she was hooked. I mean, she loved it.
Could also really take some people to Charlotte and show the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
It's true. Lots more to do around.
Kind of show the teams. You get to maybe they'll get to know like what this sport really is a little bit better.
I would say, but if you don't want to like inundate them and you want something that's cheaper too, and you can get even more access for a cheaper price, Kansas. Great racing, great facility. Plenty of good acts they usually have before the race there.
I saw a mariachi band there on Cinco de Mayo last month.
They go all out, man. Like that is Kansas has been a sleeper for years. Like
it was like a roaming mariachi band.
I was
say
like, from about 2018 until the Next Gen era started, Kansas has been like the biggest sleeper track where it's like we all know it's good, but we didn't realize how good it was, and then the Next Gen came and it's just like out of the park, see ya every single race. Like there's not been a bad race at Kansas since this car has come around. Now I say that, and we'll go. And me and my dad will go in September, and we'll have the biggest snoozer Next Gen race ever.
While the races haven't been great for this car, the track experience and the hot dogs makes Martinsville worth going to.
Yeah, and I love that track. It's hard for me to want to go back and see it in the state of racing it has right now. It hurts my heart, man. It hurts. Robbie here with the 2. Any updates on the Fontana track? Best 2-miler. Well, it ain't a 2-miler.
That's long gone.
There's not really any updates right now other than just basically the property prices and all the taxes and everything else in California where they're at is going up, up, up. And NASCAR is going stagnant when it comes to plans on it. I mean, they're not tearing it all down in a way yet, but somebody brought up a really good point that aren't the Olympics supposed to be there in 2028 in LA?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah, and I'm just thinking there's going to be a lot of land needed for
Will
other
motorsports
events.
Be in the Olympics?
I don't know about that, but I know that they, for the Olympics, a lot of places tend to tear down areas they don't need if they want to have extra space, and that's a worry. I hope they get it ready to go by then, man. I really do, because one way or another, they do need a track out there.
Yep.
Bobby Blair for the 5. Not NASCAR related, but who is your favorite metal band? Mine's Pantera. Ooh, that's a good pick.
Go for I have several I could pick from.
Pretty obvious.
Ghost, if you count them. I'm also a longtime Metallica fan.
Wherever I may roam.
Probably my top 2. I should play the song I would play in Victory Lane would be a Metallica. I can play the Master of Puppets riff, so I'd play that.
Nice.
I don't know if they really count. I listen to a lot of Five Finger Death Punch, Shine Down, and Avenged Sevenfold songs.
Yeah, my number 1 definitely be Avenged. But if I wanted to go kind of like old school, you can never go wrong with Black Sabbath.
I grew up listening to Megadeth. One of my first CDs my parents gave me was Countdown to Extinction. That went hard, dude. I love that.
My cousin Carson, that's her favorite band. Is Megadeth.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Symphony. Distraction.
I want to see what the other AC/DC isn't metal, guys. I'm sorry. That's rock. That's I can't go with that as metal. I'm becoming a freaking elitist on the stream live.
Look at this. That's not very metal of you, Jarrett.
But I mean, there's so many newer ones that people like don't look at because metal is dead. It's like, no, it's not.
I listened to there's all sorts of. Someone mentioned Sleep Token. I don't know if I'd count them as metal, but they're another one of those kind of very goth, like themed up. I don't know, rock, pop, electro. They have some interesting stuff. System of a Down is a good plug. Yeah, I had a good System of a Down phase for a few years.
Before we went live, I was putting, and I do this a lot of times, I'll put, when it's on my channel, like the music I'm listening to, because I like to use music to kind of like get energized and kind of get into it for the show. I had a bunch of people asking me for Rammstein, so that's a pretty good one.
Oh, I forgot about Rammstein.
Oh, that's a good one.
They might be top 3 for me.
I love every time I bring it up with anybody who doesn't normally just listen to metal. The first thing they go, "Oh, du hast."
They're not really metal, but their show is such a unique experience. I am so glad one of their shows got canceled because Paul was sick. He had flu. I was going to go to the one that was going to be in Knoxville, but I got to go see him in Nashville one last time. I'm glad I got to see Kiss 2 times because their shows were definitely unlike any other.
That's a good one.
Not metal, but just a rock thing that I find funny as hell that people are now listening to this song is the new Bush commercials. Go into the country, gonna eat a lot of peaches. Like I hadn't listened to that in so damn long, and then that it came on the TV during the Iowa race, and I'm like, damn it, I'm getting that one right now. Oh, Someone else brought up Marilyn Manson.
I was never a big Marilyn Manson. I liked his couple of his biggest songs, The Beautiful People.
It blew my mind when one of his songs was in a John Wick movie. It's like, damn, that Marilyn Manson. He also did a duet song, like a collaboration with Avril Lavigne once. That's
one of my favorite.
It's a trip.
One of my favorite. They did it. I think it was at like the Grammys or the Oscars. But when Metallica and Lady Gaga performed one of Metallica's songs, that was good. I like Lady Gaga. She's not metal by any means, but she could do metal if she wanted to. She did that she's done some like rock ballads before, and she's good. She's got a good voice.
Yeah, I was surprised, man, because I'm not necessarily, I would say, a Lady Gaga super fan by any means, but back to the super chats real quick. Last couple here. Matt, thank you for the 10. There's another one popped up. Thanks for the NHOF shout out.
NASCAR Hall of Fame shout out. There we go.
Oh yeah,
you're welcome, Matt.
Oh yeah, I know Matt.
Yeah. Josh here for the 5. Danny, you can never go wrong with Shinedown, and wish I could meet you guys sooner than later.
Yeah,
hopefully see you at a track soon.
Fun fact: last year I skipped an episode of NWP because it was the only day Shinedown was going to be in the Nashville area. I went to go see him.
Fred Dog for the 2 here says, any guesses on the name Tony Stewart gives his son? I know it will not be Tony Stewart Jr. I'll just say that. But
I was low-key hoping it would be that, but I don't really know.
I don't know. I have no idea. I was trying to think of like a smoke pun.
AJ.
Ash. He'll call him Ash.
AJ. We'll name after AJ Foyt.
Yeah, I could say it.
Ooh, maybe.
Some way of that. I could totally see that. But
Gene.
Yeah, I think that will be the last name he'd want.
Name him after his the first driver he ever hired, Ryan Newman. Also the first driver he ever fired.
Ryan Newman's quote. Look up Tony Stewart. See all the stuff he's done. What a great guy he is. Remember that one post race? Yeah. That was like a year or two after the Kevin Ward thing, and I'm just like, did he just go there?
Yeah,
did he just go there?
About that. One of the all-time spiciest sound bites. Someone said Stewart.
So like Haley.
Yeah,
man. Hearing you say that, I just like, for this kid, I know people can be downright cruel if they hate someone, and I just hope no one, once the guy is much older, no one ever tells him about the whole dirt race incident. I hope he never has to find out about that.
I'm sure he will. I mean, I don't know how you wouldn't find out about it at some point. I guess it's not really plastered everywhere, but I don't know. It's public.
Patrick Stewart. I'm sorry. I'm just seeing some of these.
Name him Kyle after Larson, the one that got away.
Oh, man. Some of these other ones are pretty good here. Let's see. Kevin Stewart. Oh, man. All right. Well, I think that's going to cover it all here. I think we made some good progress this week, guys. So, once again, next week we'll be on Eric's channel. Tuesday, you only got 6 days to wait for NWP. Yeah, we'll be back on Eric's channel. And in the coming weeks after that, we will have John on July 10th and David on July 17th. Should be a lot of fun as well. Those guys had a lot of energy and were a lot of fun. We had them on earlier this year. And I think that we'll see that again. All right, guys. It's going to be a long ass weekend. So I think it's now a time to head out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully we see some of you at the track tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And until Tuesday, have a good one. Later, y'all.
Drivers!